Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 355 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney. My friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. What's up, gang? Opening night is here. The NHL is back. Can't wait to hear that ESPN music fight up tonight with Booch. We're going to take a look at the West a little bit later, get you caught up on everything. We got a great interview. Biz is going to be debuting on TNT this week. Are you excited, pal? We got to go to you first this time.
I'm a little nervous. The suits are not in, so I think I'm going to be going back to the old gray one, the one that I've beaten the wheels off for the last 5 years. But it's a nervous excitement. And I actually got a FaceTime from 99 the other day. Dude, I feel like the fucking coolest guy in the world. Gretzky fucking FaceTimed me.
Just give me 20 minutes. I'll do my best to change that.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, especially if I fuck up any names on TNT. But, guys, I'm excited. You know, we're going to break down the Western Conference, the Central, which is an absolute wagon of a division right now. And, other than that, Finnegan is a little bit lonely. Katie left for a couple days for a work trip, and he's got runny bum and he won't eat. So if I have to leave the podcast for a few minutes, it's probably because I'm attending to Finnegan just shitting all over our complex.
Awesome. Love having pets. Duly noted. Gee, you're down New York City. We're all coming down this week. You excited, big guy, or what?
I'm super, super excited to see you boys. I can't wait for you guys.
Oh, yeah. Free dinners. Probably going to get another fucking Rolex.
I'll take it. If you're offering, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll clip that too.
All right.
Yeah. It's been a while. Well, we were down there, the Stanley Cup playoffs. It feels like 6 years ago, even though it was only a few months ago. So I'm looking forward to getting back down. Wit Dog, you look like you're back home unless you travel with those things in your suitcase behind you.
No, if anyone would carry these around, though, it's just, you know, it's the silver medal jersey from Vancouver and then a giant wooden Pink Whitney Chiclets logo sign. Grinelli sent me things phenomenal.
That looks unbelievable.
I'm going to get this stuff, hung up and try to get the office looking good. I only moved in here 4 years ago now. So, I mean, it's not like I had time to set up a decent work area. Yeah, we were in New York City for the finals, one of the worst finals in Stanley Cup final history. But still, it does feel like that was so long ago, even though it wasn't. I can't wait to get going. Biz, I'm excited for you. I mean, it's really a win-win because in a sense of you doing phenomenal and us doing just great on the show and everyone saying, oh, my God, maybe we get a few more listeners that see Biz on TNT and crushing it. Or you do horrific, and I can make fun of you and have some of the best.
Yeah, it's a win-win for everybody.
It's so good. So I think that you're going to crush it. But in the case you don't, just know we'll get a couple video clips of me just going to town on your performance.
I hope I get comfortable enough where, like the bus ride when we did the West Coast Wagon Tour, you guys could start throwing words at me that I have to incorporate.
That would get big time
in the midst of the broadcast, and also to have fun with our Chiclets followers to direct traffic at TNT. Now, we actually went there last week for a little practice round to set up
what suit coat was that?
That was I
didn't think this would be online
in Canada on acid, blue blazer. Should I throw it?
That was Dawn Cherry microdosing and then designing a jacket.
Give me a sec. I'm going to throw it on for the rest of the podcast.
Yes, please do. This jacket was horrible. I'm pretty sure Biz just got up. Probably his dog got runny bum and he needs his suit coat. He should actually use that suit coat to wipe up the dog's runny bum. But he probably figured that was just a tryout day and it would never get on TV or the internet. And I think, there he is, Anchorman. It actually looks better. It actually looks cooler. It looks cooler now than it did on TV next to Gretzky.
Hey, that's what Wayne was calling me. He was calling me Anchorman while we were there all Wednesday. Hey, and another thing too, there was a picture that came out and he looked absolutely miserable in the actual still that they got of him. He was on the far end and I was actually tighter to the middle than he was. I hope that's not the setup because for the GOAT to be all the way on the end and me to be on the inside of him, I even recommended. I'm like, are you sure you don't want me on the wing?
No, but Biz, I think he would want to be there. I remember when I was on TV, I wanted to be at the end. That way you're not having to do the tennis court match watching and like back and forth. On the end, you're just kind of chilling and seeing everyone from one view.
Oh, I guess I never thought
of
that.
That could have been his choice.
That's why
I remember because at the beginning of NHL Network, I had to be on the end, and then sometimes like the longer you're there, they'll put you in the middle when you're a little more comfortable. I was like, no, I want to stay in the end over here.
Oh, okay. That's why.
So maybe that's a couple of things G-Man and I have in common.
I'm going to have a masseuse there rubbing my neck between periods. I'm going to have a neck brace on. But going back to the whole setup, like, so Talk was there, Liam was there, Anson Carter was there, and obviously Wayno. It was fun, man. It was great chemistry. And I'll tell you what, you're just basically shooting the shit. And Wayne's memory and his ability to tell stories and nail the punchline, it's insane. I can't wait for the fans to be able to experience him telling all these old school stories. And I even asked him about that, as far as like we talked about, like whether he liked to talk first and like whether he liked to go out on the first shift to like lead off a game. He said his whole career, he usually liked being the second line to go out. He liked to see the pace of the game in the first shift to be able to like read it. And then he liked going over the board second. So I always found that interesting, that the greatest player of all time, like, didn't, because like you talk about Crosby, he always wants to be first, right? In like going out of the gate, whether it's leading the practice drills. So it's just so interesting picking such an incredible hockey mind, in the time that I get with him. And also, his son Ty's there. He's going to help us with like gaining like some of the stats in order to feed us information. So overall, it was great to get one of those runs in. And I'm, as I said, I'm a little bit nervous, but very excited to get TNT going on Wednesday.
One question, then one comment. Question: Is it just once a week TNT, and that's Wednesday night hockey, or is it
for the first part of the season? So what they're going to do the first 2 weeks, they got double headers. So they're going to do obviously Washington, New York. Then they got Chicago, Colorado, which those are going to be two great games. Then the following week, they have another double header. And because like wrestling's becoming a big deal again, and there's a competitor to the WWE.
Did it ever leave?
I feel like when The Rock left, I don't want to say there was a downturn, but I feel like it's being talked about more and more online, especially on the social networks. RA, would you agree with that?
So I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I was Googling a question.
I would agree with you, Biz. I would definitely agree with you.
Because
they also on the come up.
Yeah, because TNT also they carry is it AEW, and Pat McAfee actually does the color commentary. So now there's a rivaling wrestling league that rivals WWE. So it's kind of driving the traffic back and forth, and it's kind of gained its relevance again. So after the two double headers, we're going to actually do 10 o'clock start. So we're going to be doing all the West Coast games all the way up until Christmas time. So it's the AEW is from 8 to 10 Eastern time, and then TNT at 10 o'clock will kick on for the Western game. So
that crew of you, Gretzky, Anson, Talkett, and Liam is there every Wednesday night?
No.
Oh, okay.
Gretzky, I think, is only doing 30 games, and I think that for the first week it's going to be all of us, and then I believe that for the most part it's going to be 4 people on the panel all the time. Sometimes there might be 5. I think it's very hard for a bus driver like Liam to drive when there's 4 guys, because everyone's trying to get their points in, and he's got to like collect what's being said, feed off of it, then also take it to the next thing. So I don't know if they're going to want to put him through that every single week. So the TNT crew, they also got the in-game coverage, right? With like Eddie Olczyk, Panger, Kenny Albert. So, and I know I'm forgetting more names, but it's going to be a really fun crew with a lot of experience. And also the people behind the scenes, man, they're awesome. They're like, hey, you guys let it fly. You guys have some fun. And I think they're going to have some special guests on that first night too. So I think we've talked about TNT enough. RA, snap it back over to you. I know that you were tweeting and going crazy about this fight. It was an incredible sports weekend, folks. I
was going to say all the sports going on. We got playoff baseball, hockey starting up, hoops starting up. Who would have thought heavyweight boxing would have been the biggest event of the weekend? And I mean, I'm not the biggest boxing fan I used to be. I was actually going to see an old friend of mine. We don't get together much anymore. So I was more to going to hang out with him and have a few beers. And the fight happened to be on. And it was just an incredibly entertaining. It wasn't technically maybe the best fight, but it was just 2 dudes just slugging. Like you thought one guy was done, then the next guy was done. Each guy got knocked down multiple times. It was just honestly probably the best heavyweight fight I'd say in 25 years without like going to Google, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say at least the last decade. Is decade 10 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't believe I missed the fight. I saw the second fight, and that's when Fury pounded him, and Wilder said that he was too tired from how heavy the costume was that he had to wear to the ring and the walkout with the song. So that there was all these storylines. I saw Fury before saying that he's had excuses every time. I saw the highlights. I can't believe I can't believe I didn't see this fight, but of course it ended up being what everyone's saying, the fight of the year. And I just think that Fury guy is so interesting. I don't really know what a gypsy is. So he's the Gypsy King, right?
Yeah.
What is a gypsy?
I think
what is a gypsy?
Family, I think his parents were gypsies, like legit gypsies. No, RA?
I'm not familiar with his history. I know the people are called the Romani people, and I'm just like, he calls himself the Gypsy King, so that's why I was saying that. Some people might consider that a slur. I know we said it before, and one person complained
he's
about
the heavyweight champion of the world, and
you're
canceled,
right?
right.
But
you're done.
Just
get off the pod.
The Gypsies are the Romani people, I believe. It's I'm not 100% familiar with his history, but he calls himself the Gypsy King. His mama call him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, as far as modern day boxing, far and above the most entertaining guy going. He sings songs after every time he wins. His intro. Did you see his rebuttal intro he had the Roman Empire outfit and then that guy coming out without the shirt on? Hey,
it's crazy to make it that big of a scene with like the adrenaline you have. And I imagine you're just like, most people are like a little worried, if not solely focused on this fight. And he has like the energy and the charisma to be willing to like basically put on a show as he's walking out to it.
Did you see how loose he was when he was showing up pre-fight? Yeah. Goes in the locker room, he's singing tunes in there while he's getting taped up. I mean, if you also, I don't know how many people who follow boxing. It's a pretty cool backstory too. Like this guy was in a very dark place, and I know like lately we've been talking about the mental health stuff. I want to say this guy had like a gun in his mouth, ready to kill himself. And he, before he did it, he thought of his kids, and he just kind of,
oh shit.
Yeah, man. He completely rebounded. He said, enough of this. He's like, I'm getting back to training. And he went from being like a drunk slob to now the world champ. And he's not young. I think he's at least 40 years old. And it just seems like he's got all the energy in the world, and he doesn't plan on retiring anytime soon. And I don't know who's going to be the next competitor, because that Anthony Joshua ended up losing to that Czech guy. So I think he's going to hang tight for a bit and wait till maybe that thing has a rematch.
I love how he doesn't need to be like shredded. Like he's like kind of chubby, but he's just an absolute menace of a human being. And he's just willing, like he can take punches and he can hammer you down. So he's like, I can have a little fat on me. I don't care.
Amazing the punches they take. Like what's his face? Wild. Like he looked like he was drunk for like 4 of those rounds. He was just like,
he's got heart though.
Tons of heart. I mean, he got a chin by a fucking blacksmith. He was incredible, all hot, but like he was just wobbling. You just thought he was going to be done, and then it didn't happen until the 11th round. But just a wildly entertaining fight. If anybody,
our race had it figured out this whole time. Muscles are overrated. Fucking Wilder looked like he was jacked, and he was the one wobbling around out there.
You know what they say, Biz? You can't pull fat. So if you can be an amazing athlete with just a doughy body, what are you doing even messing around with what you got?
That's why Phil Kessel is the fucking GOAT.
I said, Wild, the heart of a champ and Fury, body of a podcaster. He doesn't look like a heavyweight champ, but he got it done. So that's all that matters.
Fury's actually only 33 too, so he's got a lot
more.
Call,
Biz. Hey, bring that to TNT.
Don't want to make it any tougher than the Chiefs than it already is.
33.
Yeah, Austin Matthews turns 43 this week, guys. Gretzky's like, what?
Biz, you just mentioned Ty Gretzky. Congrats to Ty. He just recently became a new dad.
Give me 1 sec. I like to keep our listeners on their toes, and that's why I made up that number. Just like
Don't
I
let
made
them
up.
Cruise around.
Oh, we're gonna get to some of that when we talk about the Zibanejad signing. Now, what did you say? You said Ty Domi is a father?
No. You mentioned Ty Gretzky a few minutes ago. I want to send congratulations to him. He recently became a dad for the first time. So give Ty a little shout out.
Congrats, Ty and Ty Domi. Wear a rubber. I mean, that's just amazing right there that he got Domi in his head.
But by the internet, Max Domi will have had a kid by the time this hits the internet.
Quite the start to the pod for Busy Boy here, and this jacket. We were talking about you said gypsy and the fact that it's a slur and offensive, and it sparked me to all this dialogue on social media about the new the closer. The last Dave Chappelle Netflix special, part of that last contract.
Haven't seen it yet. Yep.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious. Obviously, he gets the people going, and the dialogue online was popping based on some of the stuff he was saying. Now,
but he's pretty open and not giving one shit. I mean, He basically began the not giving a shit when he just straight up canceled the Chappelle show when it was the most successful. What, RA?
He's uncancelable. Like Dave Chappelle is proves he's uncancelable. You can't cancel him.
He doesn't.
Netflix gives him $60 million. Like, I mean,
which is great, dude. You hear somebody speak their minds. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of anyone doing that now, and the way he delivers stuff. I remember watching the Chappelle show, like the clip of Eddie Murphy rubbing the I ain't rubbing my muddy boots on your fucking couch. It's just one of like that show I thought was the funniest show of all time.
Well, let's go. I mean,
Clarence Bigsby. You remember him?
Oh yeah,
the blind.
I mean, there was so many
blind white supremacist, but he's black. Doesn't know he's black, and when he finds out he's black, he tries to kill himself.
He just he revolutionized the game, is what he did.
Yeah,
and he actually he dedicated it to Norm Macdonald, who, I mean, I've been getting lost in these Norm Macdonald rabbit holes on YouTube. I just feel since his passing, a lot of people have been watching him, so the algorithm's just pumping his stuff out. Just some of the shit he'll say in these interviews when he gets asked to go on these mainstream networks. Just when he went on The View and he was talking. Did we talk about that?
We talked about it.
About Clinton.
What other funny skits did Chappelle have that were probably some of the most memorable?
Oh, dude, Chappelle skits. How about the real world? The real world when the white guy shows up,
go get me.
And then they're all crushing his girl, milk. And then they stab him too. They end up stabbing him. Chappelle show. Remember the old guy playing the guitar at the commercials? Oh, that was like a lifetime ago. Thinking of the stuff he did. What was the other one? He did the racial draft. Draft.
Oh my goodness.
We select Tiger Woods.
And it's funny how much comedy, like back then it was like hilarious. Now people would throw fucking shit fits galore. Like
what a crazy thing that something that could make that many people laugh, like that many human beings enjoy it and find it funny and don't take offense, and that the people who disagree and don't think it's funny, like they're able to like silence it. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, well, not crazy. The player haters ball.
I seen him a couple times. He was fucking great singing live in person. Chappelle.
You saw him?
Yeah, I seen him a couple times. Yeah, I seen Norm too. I was a big Norm guy. Fucking. I think I told you, Biz. I look back. I still had a bunch of DMs with him talking about gambling like 8-9 years ago. They were still in there, like just going back and forth talking shop with Norm Macdonald. Like
one of the YouTube clips I saw, he was like a frequent guy on Twitter. He would tweet about sports nonstop. I didn't realize he was so active on there.
People thought that could have been like a bit, like not that he didn't love sports, but that he was so blatant and he would lose followers, and he made it clear like he didn't care. And he would write the most mundane, like ridiculous tweets, like ball in the Red Sox game 2-1. Like he was blatantly, I don't know if he was fucking with people, but he definitely loved sports.
No, he was a big gambler, very big sports gambler.
Going back to Chappelle show, the one when they ripped off the NFL theme, when it's like this moment in dating history. Was that the one?
I don't remember the NFL theme. I remember this
hookup history.
History.
When they did the wife swap. Anyway, we've been going on Chappelle a little too long. Sorry, folks.
That's all right.
Laughs.
We did mention we're going to be talking about the West, so we do have a guest from the West. We'll be bringing him on a little later. Darnell Nurse, defenseman for the Edmonton Oilers, had a great chat with him. We think you're going to dig it a little bit later. But first, there's no better way to kick off the new season than heading over to your local bar and ordering up some Pink Whitney. Whether with club soda or as a shot, you can't beat that smooth Pink Whitney taste. Enjoy it from the pregame to the after hours. Grab some at your local spot today. You enjoy any Pink Whitney this weekend, boys?
No, I've been on the red wine train, like a fall thing. I was in Nantucket. I ended up we did like a 17-mile bike ride, but it was supposed to be like 8. I totally messed up going out to Sankaty, this golf course biz with this lighthouse. Oh my God, it's just beautiful. But I'm so sore, right? I can't even move around. So the red wine, I don't know, it like soothes me a little bit. It makes me feel a little bit better. But the Pink Whitney, interestingly enough, was brought to my attention. Keith Yandel texted me and said, the boys were just hanging out, just having a drink, watching football. One of those team bonding days right before the season gets going, Biz. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And Ristolainen and offered everyone Pink Whitney. It's all he drinks. Pink Whitney with a seltzer. So to know that that's a current player that's just on board, we got to get maybe a sticker on his helmet.
Well, on top of that, Merles shot us a group text. He saw it at one of the football games.
I think
Houston.
Houston
Texans
played the Pats today. Pats with a ridiculous comeback. They looked horrible. Came back to beat a garbage Houston team, but the drink of the day at that stadium was Pink Whitney. So yeah, shout out all you guys for drinking.
That's kind of funny. You're on the red wine train because so am I lately. I like to have a glass at the end of the day. Just kind of, as you said, it kind of soothes me. And I've been back on the workout train. I've been doing so like it's hard to get back into it because I took quite a bit of time off. I do a lot of hiking and just a lot of body movement stuff. And a good way to get back into it is not get right back into the weights. Just do all body weight squats, lunges. Make sure you're staying limber with a lot of like mobility stretching, push-ups, very light like shoulder activation. I mean, I do like the 10 to 15 pound weights, and I tell you what, I feel great. Do some abs in there. So you don't like most guys think, oh, I got to get back in shape. But, I just do it with like a jog and some body weight exercises, folks, and you're a little bit less sore. Why are you laughing, Ari?
No, I was like, talk about getting in shape. I was just like, my workout. My workout is like fucking thumbs just fucking going to
That's
my
true.
next show.
The Twitter guy.
No, I got my walks in here and there. My old man exercises. All right, let's talk some hockey, man.
Yep.
This is the best off ice shoe in the NHL right now. All right, Carolina Hurricanes. They did not play 6 preseason games as mandated by the CBA. Now, teams schedule their own preseasons. The league doesn't do it as part of their scheduling matrix. Well, somebody dropped a dime to the league that Carolina didn't play the six mandated games. Frank Saravalli said, quote, there's some thought it's the Habs who snitched. So it doesn't sound like there's going to be any repercussions from the league or anything. But this like off-ice petty version of the Hatfields and McCoy, it's fucking awesome. It's hilarious. They play October 21st in Montreal, and you almost just think they're going to talk behind each other's back during the game or something because the level of pettiness is off the charts right now.
I think it's amazing that Saravalli, one of the top insiders in the National Hockey League, had to say that he's heard through sources that it could have been Montreal. No shit. What an absolute layup this one is. Who else would have complained about something like this? It is so petty. The crazy thing is like, I guess if you're looking at possible teams you're going to play throughout the year, you're looking at their preseason matchups, but for the most part, I would never think to look at like what other teams and how many games they're playing in preseason. Like wouldn't even come to my head. But when you hate a team and they just stole a young guy from you with an offer sheet, you're looking to continue a feud that you actually began. I loved it. I mean, the thing is, I also respected the hell out of the move by Brind'Amour and Carolina because I think they're the biggest waste of time. I think you need 3 preseason games.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. This 6 mandated. I mean, you're making money, right? The league, you're not packing the house, although some of these buildings have been jammed. But in the end, like guys get hurt. They don't need that many games. Get the guys that are going to play in basically 3 of the 4, if it's going to be 4, and then you could spend 1 game looking at a lot of prospects, and the other 3 games testing out 4 or 5 roster spots. But I do respect Montreal for being this petty. They won't let it go.
The preseason pack that the Leafs force you to buy is probably worth more than Carolina Hurricanes season tickets in general.
There's probably a chance that that's true.
And going back to Carolina, hey, you got to follow the rules. And from a guy who most of the ice time he saw that was in preseason, I feel for the guys who wanted to try to make a little bit more of an impact and show their stuff off. They worked hard all summer long to get a little bit of feel for the game and show Rob the Bod that their stuff. And they weren't able to because they only had 4 games. Now, some people were also tweeting that the league was well aware. One of the games that they had scheduled, was it against New Jersey and the lights went out? Was it Carolina who was supposed to play New Jersey?
I saw that Frankie tweeted about the lights going out. I thought it was an Islanders game.
I'm not sure if it was Carolina. I know.
Oh, was it the Islanders?
No, I'm just guessing it was.
Dougie Hamilton too much.
No, he said Prudential Center, so that's the Devils.
They had to put the electric bill in Dougie Hamilton's name.
Yeah. He
Direct
had
deposit.
By the way, Biz, you know that for a fact, NHL rosters, the teams pretty much pick before camp. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's always what, one or two
surprises. Yeah.
So what do you mean? Like, show those guys like what you can do. Show Brind'Amour what you can do. Like, chances are you're not going to make the team, and you're going to have to prove it in the minors.
I'm just speaking from experience. I said that was a time for me to shine. The guy who would be healthy scratch half the time. And in regular season, maybe touch the puck a few times over the course of the game because I play 3 minutes. I would appreciate if they extended the amount of games even from 6 to maybe 8, because I think
you want more. Okay, yeah.
I think that the plugs need to get a little bit of playing time because that's their time to shine. So that's just me speaking from personal experience.
You bring your preseason numbers to arbitration.
That's a possibility.
They're like September 28th. That was
this year. I mean, you got to think the motto was like no news is good news, because there's been some carnage out there. LA Kings forward Quentin Byfield taken second overall 2020, fractured his ankle in a preseason game versus Arizona.
Brutal.
Out indefinitely, 19 years old, on the cusp of starting his career. Just awful. Hate to see it. Ovi got hurt in the preseason finale versus Philly. He's day to day. Of course, he's only 1 goal behind Marcel Dion.
Let me hop in here.
Jump in there, Biz.
People were bitching. They're like, "Oh, that's karma for hitting the guy from behind." Like some of these fucking idiots on Twitter who must have never played hockey in their life.
On the Balloon Man Group again.
He's open ice. He's open ice. If he's getting the puck there, he can hit him from behind. He's not against the wall. He's right.
If you ran at him and buried him from behind, you'd probably get a penalty nowadays. If the puck was on his stick, maybe not. Actually, it depends. It's you know what I'm saying. Now it's a weird call. They might make it.
You might call a charge if it's from a deliberate distance.
Oh yeah, exactly. But if you just pushed him, no way.
As soon as the puck got delivered, he met him there. So it's like. And same goes. Are we going to go over the Revo one right now too? RA?
I was going to get to that in a sec. Yeah, I also want to send get well wishes out to linesman Ryan Gibbons. He was concussed in a pregame collision with Arizona forward Liam O'Brien. He's doing the concussion protocol. Like I said, we wish him the very best as well, and hopefully he gets back out there soon. That was a tough thing to see. Want to see him get hurt, but you could tell his head really got caught there. And yeah, Biz, I put it in the notes. I mean, the scrapping throughout the preseason has gone up, and Revo and PK. Do you want to tell the folks what you got?
There's another one too. I watched both angles that were given, like close-ups of it. Like it didn't look great because as PK went over to the wall, his left skate, which he didn't have his weight on, he had his weight on his right skate. His left skate hits Revo's right heel. But at that time, it looked like Revo was already falling back, and he just got his left blade caught. And it was an awkward, it looked way worse than it's being reported as. They're saying he's day to day. It looked like his full MCL, ACL got torn. It looked nasty when he went down. And listen, do I hold it against Kreider for going after him at the beginning of the second? No, I think that overall the theme coming into this season for the Rangers where they were trying to change the culture up a little bit. And also the C's up for grabs. So I'm sure Kreider wants to show that maybe he wants that. He wants to show some leadership. So he goes right after Subban. And right after the situation happened when Reeves went down and they collided, PK was the one yelling for the refs to blow the whistle. So this was completely unintentional. I don't care about you people saying, I've seen this a few times from PK. This was not a fucking slew foot. We've seen plenty of them that are actual slew foots. This was a big nothing burger. But as far as all the dust ups and Whit, I don't know if you want to chime in about that incident specifically, but you're seeing a lot of spirit in these preseason games. You saw Hartmut and Landy going at it, and Landy was fuming. You saw on Saturday the whole incident between Ottawa and Toronto, and then the Battle of Florida, which, holy shit, Bennett ends up touching Vasilevsky. That obviously creates the World War III because you can't be losing Vasilevsky in preseason. So Achari ends up going down with a shoulder. There's like a big dog pile. So I tell you what, man, I am all horned up, 20 milligram Cialis, rock hard for this regular season to start.
Then Perry did his Urkel into the other goalie. Like, did I do that? He fucking buries a goalie.
The Urkel. Is that what you were calling it with? The Urkel?
I didn't say that, did I?
No, but it's a pretty good example by RA of the way that you used to describe him, where he would do the fake fall on goalies all the time.
I always said he would always just get up and be like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. I didn't mean it. What are you talking about? Like, he always was like looking like, what do you mean? What did I do? But the PK incident, it was just pretty easy once I watched it to see it wasn't on purpose. And then even after Gallant said it wasn't, he didn't think it was on purpose. Coach of the Rangers. So, yeah, but well stated by you in terms of the Rangers and what they're trying to do this year. The Florida Tampa thing is wild because this is the year, like, most realistically, the Panthers could actually win that division and finish ahead of Tampa. It's kind of crazy to say after they've won back-to-back cups, but them losing that bottom six step will change things. But that move by Bennett was so dirty and blatant. I mean, he doesn't give a shit. He's always played on the edge, but he pretty much, no doubt about it, put his shoulder directly into Vasilevsky looking to bury him. And it caused an absolute melee. It makes total sense. It sucks to see Achari go down. I feel like he's an important depth guy for the Panthers.
Oh, yeah.
How long's he out for?
I don't know. It looked like his shoulder came out or something. And people were saying that it happened as a result to somebody coming over and grab him. I want to say Perry was the one to go over and grab him. But it looked like it came out as
the
he
big
went.
rig.
Was it the big rig? My apologies.
It was just an unfortunate landing. I mean, Big Rig didn't do anything deliberately dirty.
Bingo. And if I was a teammate of Vasilevsky, exact same response. My fucking wires would have crossed. But the fan in me, who, not to say I don't care about either teams. We got friends on each team. It'd be nice to see, Maroon win 4 in a row based on the fact that he'd be up there with the greats as far as winning 4 cups in a row, and Florida, getting back to, creating a cool hockey culture down there. But dude, more of this, please. This is fucking,
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be violent when they play this year. Because you remember the playoffs. It's not like this is like something out of nowhere. Like, these teams actually hate each other.
So thank you to Sam Bennett for getting things going. Now,
RA's got a big deal out of Florida too. One of the best players in the league.
Absolutely. But before we get to those big money deals,
we got to talk. We got to talk about that Ottawa Toronto thing, because that Hall ended up taking a run at Stützle, which I thought was a little aggressive for preseason, and that Scott Sabrin, who played for DJ Smith in Oshawa. And he ended up bringing him over after he was in Toronto. He pumps Hall. And then what a response by Simmons. He ends up challenging Sabrin. And Sabrin, you see those blocks he's got? How he always puts up his arm.
That's UFC style.
UFC style. But the one thing that sucks as a fighter, folks, is you could see Sabrin goes in for the reach. One reason it's so hard to fight Simmons is he's got those long arms. And you could tell that they were kind of judge each other's distance out. And then Sabrin goes in for the reach and misses. And much like when that happened to me against Revo, all of a sudden Simmons gets the good grab, and then boongo, bango, boombo on the ice, gives him a nice pile driver and a great response. And you could see the whole bench for Toronto just be like, hey, we're fucking rights. We got our guy. And on top of that Richie's looking really good right now. I think he had 3 goals in 3 games in preseason, and he's going to fit nice in that top 6 at a bargain.
You think Richie's going to play in the top 6 all year for the Maple Leafs?
I'm saying he had a great preseason, and I would assume that they're not going to be shy to maybe start him out in that role. You mentioned Mikheyev and maybe trying him out in the top 6. I think that they gave him a couple goes at it. So I think that whoever wants to up their level of play and fill in on that top 6 role, it's going to be a revolving door all season long, unless somebody wants to grab it by the balls. And Richie's done that in preseason. Do I put a ton of stock in preseason? Absolutely not, unless it's me
sometimes, unless it's my stats.
Unless it's my stats and my touches. And
I also want to send out get well wishes to Edmonton Zach Kassian. He banged his head off the ice during a scrap the other night with Vancouver's Zach McEwen. He's in the protocol as well. Tippett said he's going to be okay, but hate to see guys get knocks on the head. So get well soon, Zach.
Yep.
Like Whit said, some big money deals. But first, if I got one of these deals, the first thing I would do is reach out to Cross Country Mortgage to take care of my financing needs. Cross Country Mortgage is much like us at Barstool, a people-first group of people. They are dedicated to the fundamentals of mortgage lending, which results in a fast, convenient, and less stressful home financing or refinancing experience. Rates are super low right now, so don't pay the bank more than you need to. And our friends at Cross Country Mortgage make the process as painless and simple as possible to help keep your money in your pocket. So call today for a fast, free quote and a free home valuation just for calling. If you're a homeowner and haven't refinanced lately, you may be leaving thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars on the table over the life of the loan that could be working for you in other places. Go to crosscountrymortgage.com/Barstool to learn more about your future home buying experience or to refinance your current mortgage. Cross Country Mortgage, LLC, NMLS 3029. All loans subject to underwriting approval. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. And be sure to tell them Barstool sent you. Oof. All right, let's get to those big deals. Yeah, a couple extensions. Florida locks up Alexander Bakoff with an 8-year, $80 million extension. He's got a no move clause for the first 6, then a modified no trade for the last 2. The deal will kick in next year. He'll be just 34 years old when the deal ends. This is money well spent, no doubt.
Maybe one of the most well-deserved contracts out there. Ask anyone who's played with him, anyone who plays against him, top 10 player in the league. I actually think I would maybe go out on a limb and say that the only 3 forwards in the league I wouldn't trade for Barkov are McKinnon, McDavid, and Matthews. I think if you offered me anyone else, I wouldn't trade him. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as that's a fucking great point. That's a hot take right there.
He's ridiculous at every single part of the game.
Yeah.
Like a $10 million guy where I don't know, maybe it was out there. I didn't read many comments in terms of saying overpayment, not deserving.
Yeah. The same guys who thought it was a slew foot by Subban.
Oh, were there people dogging this deal?
No, not many. A couple buffoons. A couple people said overpayment and compared it to the Couturier deal. And I was like, shut the fuck up. They're not the same player. Couturier is a world-class player, but he ain't Barkov level. So
I don't know, maybe I'm way off, but I just, from the short time I saw him there, he was super young. What was that? 2014 might've been his rookie year. It was his rookie year. And then to talk to Jans and other guys who played there, it's just like this guy is on another level. So great signing by them. They had to get it done, and they have their number 1 player locked up.
I think,
making the same as the goalie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, joking aside, no state tax helps us get in at 10 million, because anywhere else in free agency, I think that he's a guy who could probably get over what Matthews and Marner got. So he's probably a $12 million player in free agency. Looking back to his last deal, I think this is very well deserved, because he was on the biggest team friendly deal based on his accomplishments. And you said you wouldn't trade him for any of those other 3. The reason you're saying that is there's probably not a guy that you can rely upon on any situation, even if he's just came off from a shift and he even has like a minute rest. You could throw him right back out there, whether it's PK, whether it's PP, whether it's a goalie pulled, whatever it may be. He's the guy leading the charge. Probably a big component to them locking him in at such a good average is the fact that majority of this contract was delivered in signing bonus. And I don't know if you have the exact numbers already. I want to say at least
70 million, I think.
I think at least 85% of the deal, 85% of the deal is signing bonus. Which
we talk about Bakoff. Oh, yeah.
Barkov.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. The signing bonus, 11 million, 11 million, 11 million, 10, 6, 9, 7, 6, 2, 6, 2.
So those are the numbers. I mean, very similar to what you saw kind of in the Marner Matthews situation, where I want to say Matthews got paid 30 million in the first 13 months. Weber, same type of deal. So a great average for the team. Of course, if your owner has money and he's willing to deliver the signing bonus on the 1st of July of every year, that's a big component into locking one of the best in the league up for a long period of time. And
even though like you look at his numbers, like he doesn't have a point per game in his career. And so there probably would be people that think I'm a fool for saying that, but in a time where size, you don't need to be big anymore. It's very obvious now that you can be amazing 5'6" or fucking 6'4". But I still love having a big number 1 center who's fucking 6'3", 215 and a complete Clydesdale. So in terms of like breaking down the ability to play against anyone, he'll never be out muscled, those type things in terms of 8 years and him only being 25 or 26, that's just what I say in terms of like a true number 1 player that any team would want.
I would say the best comparison I could give is he's a Kopitar in his prime. And I mean, I still think Kopitar can deliver what he did in his prime too, but that's the comparable out west. He will not sacrifice his defensive game for offense, but yet he's still able to produce at an elite level. And as I mentioned, good in every area of the game. I'm so happy for this guy. And Yan said he's just like the best guy going. So pay that man his money.
That wasn't the only major extension. New York Rangers signed Mika Zibanejad to an 8-year, $68 million extension. Comes out to $8.5 million average annual value. He's got no trade protection. It kicks in next year, and he'll be 37 when that deal ends. Biz, were you a little surprised either on the term or the number of the cash on this one, or what?
Okay, we kind of went over this last year, or at least 6 months ago.
I think this one's a little bit of a wild card.
This is a wild card, and some New York fans were pissed at some of the things we said. I want to take back one of my comments in saying that he had some points in junk time last year. Now let me give you the breakdown of what we were doing at that period of time. We were going straight GM mode. I'm thinking as a GM, okay? This guy's 28 years old. I think he was going to be 29 when his deal was up. We fucked up by saying he was going to be an unrestricted free agent this past summer. He had 1 year left on his deal, obviously, which was going to be this season. They wanted to get the deal locked and loaded. He is an exceptional offensive player. He's a world-class player. He's going to play in the Olympics this year. I love Zibanejad. Okay. What I was weary about, and mind you, last year he did get COVID, so he wasn't at the top of his game as he was the year before when he put up 41 and had a 19% shooting percentage and lit the league on fire. Okay. Last year in a shortened season, he put up 68% of his offense against the bottom feeders of that division, against Buffalo, New Jersey, and Philly. Okay. When I referred to the junk time comment, I meant the 2 games, and this is not taking anything away from these unbelievable games. He had 6 points in each of those games. I think it was in a week span against Philly when they were going through a real shit sandwich time. Carter Hart couldn't save a fucking puck. So looking back, I 24% of his offensive output was done in 2 games last year. You also made a comment where you said sometimes he's not the most reliable defensively. Well, sometimes when you got these elite scorers and point producers, yeah, they tend to cheat a little bit on the offensive side of the puck. Well, guess what ends up coming out and rolling out on Twitter as this deal gets signed? A bunch of the analytic numbers where it says 5-on-5. Yeah, he's maybe not the best, but he does kill penalties for that team. He's unreal as far as the shooting percentage. And he's just an overall elite player. Do I think he's worth 8.5 for the next 4 or 5 years? Yes, I do. Where they're going to get hurt is on term. But in today's NHL, he was going to be one of the top free agents this offseason, and he was going to get it somewhere. And right now, the window for the New York Rangers is now. So they don't give a fuck. And they're a team where they don't care about money either. They want to win now. So they ended up paying and locking in one of their guys. Now, if this year is their window to, if they want to keep all the guys they got right now, because I mentioned all the deals that they have on either entry-level contracts or just got guys who can contribute on cheap deals. But this puts them in a bit of a jam moving forward. But I'm not surprised he got that amount of money. I'm happy for the guy. I think he's an elite player. I think he's going to have a bounce back year compared to last year based on the things that I mentioned. Do I think that getting fucking 34 points against the bottom 3 teams in the division is something to say, oh, that's shit? No. But it was just interesting to see that he didn't have, he had 1.5 points per game against those 3 teams. He had a 0.5 point per game against the top 4 teams in the division. It's just a fucking stat I threw out there as a GM mind frame to say, I would be weary of giving a guy at 29 years old, and we know the league's getting younger, that long of a term at that amount of money. So I hope I did a good job of breaking that down. I wasn't taking anything away from his game. I was just saying, as a GM, I would be weary. Now I'm going to hand it over to you, Whit.
Okay, great explanation there, Biz. Zibanejad is kind of one of those examples of the current day contracts where I don't think he's going to be finishing this deal with the Rangers. And if he is, he's certainly not going to be the player he is now. So when you sign these deals now, you kind of think there's a sense of a chance of a buyout. I mean, maybe I'm way off there, and maybe GMs don't think that, and they're thinking best case scenario. But in the end, like, Zibanejad right now is an elite goal scorer. There's been times when he's battled injuries, and I think he's been inconsistent defensively. But in the last 2.5 years, since he got to New York,
it's been awesome.
He can score with anyone else in the league, really.
Yeah.
And so I think you're going to get some amazing hockey out of him. I think that the Rangers had to keep him, right? They have Panarin. They have this young core. Things are looking pretty good. If you're a Rangers fan, you're not going to all of a sudden let this guy play this year, and then possibly lose him. It was something that had to get done. And the last point being Chris Drury's a new head GM, right? He's newly appointed as the guy who's going to win another Stanley Cup for the Rangers. And having known him since really 2008, I don't think he's giving a deal to somebody that he doesn't completely trust and believe in, right? And you saw his quotes about him and how good of a guy he is off the ice, and how it's like I just totally see this deal making sense, and maybe the number was a little bit higher, but you heard numbers higher when the negotiations were going on. So I think Rangers fans, for the most part, are happy. I just wonder what you're going to get consistency wise. That last year, I mean, he was battling COVID. He produced offensively. So I would be surprised this year if he doesn't get 35 goals. But let's see how the deal kind of ages, if that makes any sense.
One thing that's also tough to compare. So the year he had 41, he had a 19% shooting percentage.
That's high.
That is very, very high, guys. Last year it dropped down to 14. I think career-wise, at least in the bulk of when he was getting like, you know, a top 6 type minutes, I think it drops down to like the 11% mark. So listen, I'm just trying to be honest about my assessment and what I would give a player in free agency. I think he cashed in at the perfect time, and I'm happy for the guy. And everything you hear about this guy off the ice, on top of the fact that he's a world-class DJ too. I don't know if you guys know that he's got an absolute banger out there that he dropped. I think it was like 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago. So he's bringing it. He's probably got the aux cord in the locker room. So at this point, he's maybe even it's an underpayment.
Great breakdown, boys. Absolutely stellar work by you two. A couple other deals of note.
Oh, thanks, all right.
Absolutely.
Full tire pump.
The real deal, James Neal. He took the Buffalo special with St. Louis. 1 year, $750,000. Alex Galchenyuk did the same in Arizona. 1 year, $750,000. Colorado signed defenseman Jack Johnson. Buffalo special.
Come on.
1 year, $750,000. And this actually just got posted. We knew about these signings a while back, but the salaries just went up on Cap Friendly. Zdeno Chara and Zach Parise, of course, are going to the Islanders. Buffalo special, 1 year,
Come on, both of them too?
But Jimmy Vesey broke the streak. He took a 1 year deal worth $800,000 from the New Jersey Devils. He took an extra $50,000, and Ottawa signed Tyler Ennis to a 1 year deal worth $900,000. So
okay,
I don't know. Maybe they're breaking the ceiling on the Buffalo special here.
First off, I'm happy for Jack Johnson. I feel like this guy just gets dragged through the mud online based. You know, the fucking analytics community had an absolute jammer when they saw that he signed with Colorado. But he's going to go there and he's going to get a chance to win a Stanley Cup. Galchenyuk, well deserved. He had a great little run there with the Leafs last year. I thought he was one of the more impressive players in playoffs, other than that pizza up the middle. That one. Yeah, that was a Whitney special right in Marlowe's shin pads. Who else did you mention? Oh, James Neal. I think we called that one. I thought maybe he would get a little bit more, closer to $1 million, but expect some big things out of James Neal this year. I could see a 25, 30 goal season for James Neal.
Also, Biz, your boy Josh Ho-Sang, I know he's a guy you've kept tabs on. He officially signed with the Marlies. He was on a PTO because he was taken 28th overall back in 2014. He played a total of 53 games for the Islanders over 3 seasons. Never really worked out there, but he ended up with the Marlies.
He's a guy that I DM'd. I asked him if he would come on the podcast, and he said he would. I mean, right now he's in the midst of the season, so I don't know if we can get him on. Just an interesting story. I know he had some off-ice issues with the Islanders early in his career. And I want to say a comparison to maybe like a Rob Schremp type, where he's very, very highly skilled, really couldn't, find his feet at the NHL level, had great AHL numbers. I'm not sure if he ended up going overseas, but, it seems as if though when, he went to Toronto, he just kind of brought a different mind frame. He's been getting a lot of media coverage there, and I'm just happy to see him sign that PTO. And we talk about the holes on that top 6. Who knows? Maybe if there's some injuries in Toronto, he's a guy who ends up getting called up and given an opportunity. So you always like to see guys, eventually figure it out and bring a different mindset. So I just thought it was a cool story, and I wish him the best, and great job by all the media people in Toronto covering that one, because I just think it's such a good lesson for kids to learn.
Great job, Toronto media.
Biz, he did go to Sweden last year as well.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. So I'm the best. Look at that. +2 in the last little bit here. Back to even.
You're the best, Bellows.
You're the fucking best.
You tit fucker.
Yeah, tit fucker. I was going to ask you, Whit.
What do you got, buddy?
VC, he can't seem to find a home in the NHL.
Yeah, I think he's got to find his role. That would be my guess. And now you saw he was actually one of the guys they probably showed the most negative attention being given towards from the coaching staff on the all or nothing. Now, they ended up losing him on waivers, and it did seem like Dubas and Shanahan were kind of surprised and maybe disappointed to lose him when Vancouver picked him up last year.
Yeah.
And then doesn't re-up with Vancouver and gets a chance to go into Jersey. And I think that, him knowing Tom Fitzgerald well and Fitz knowing what kind of player he is and what kind of role he could fill with the Devils, I actually think he could be a great third, fourth line NHLer who could also add some offense. And now maybe, different roles haven't been that way for him. And he probably started as a more offensive player, and that changed after his time in New York. But I definitely think he's an NHL player. And if Jersey can kind of bounce back and see what type of season they have with Hamilton and the signings they've made, if he could find a role there, he could play in the league, no doubt.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just haven't been able to keep tabs on him. He's been moving around quite a bit.
Yeah, man. You know what it's like? Like you got your roles change a little bit. He was a Hobey Baker winner and superstar offensively, and then you got to come into the league and maybe realize you're not going to be a top two line guy. Learn how to be a third line guy. Then find a coaching staff that's willing to give you that role and believe in you. And it sometimes it takes guys a couple different stops.
Yeah, on his first 3 years in the league, 16 goals, 17 goals, 17 goals. He obviously has no problem putting the puck.
I mean, he got fucking buffaloed too, right? I mean, like he went there. He's probably still trying to get that stench off him.
Oh my goodness!
Dude, this is nothing against. I want the Sabres to do. I love the Sabres fans, but I mean, what are you gonna say? It's Buffalo. Well, right now,
would you let them put you through a table if we went there to do some?
No, dude. On my neck, I don't do things that I could get injured and miss golf, and I still get injured and miss golf anyway. So I'm not getting thrown through a table by any Buffalo fans.
Darnell, are you going to step up?
I would. I think it's the least I can do for what I did to that franchise.
Would you let them ketchup and mustard you? Would you let them ketchup and mustard you like that one guy at the Bills games?
I would. Yeah. I definitely would.
Oh my goodness, we got to go. We got to go to Buffalo. I talked to some of the alumni after my comments. I said I'd rather watch them play than the regular team this year. But they got some great guys on their media broadcast, like Martin Biron, Rob Ray. Yeah. Who else is there? Peters is there. So it'd be fun to do a swing there and go do some live interviews with those guys because they were there during the glory days. And remember when Peters fought Emery? Yeah. Those were some wild times, man.
Dude, when Carolina won the Cup, they lost Game 7 that year, and they lost on a power play goal against from Campbell. He put one over the glass, that brutal rule. Like, they were right there that year. It was Game 7, I think. And they had no defensemen. I think they had no D-men left.
Was Jay McKee? Was Jay McKee in the lineup?
I don't know if he was still there then. I think so.
Well, that's the
perfect first year in the league.
Perfect segue into a weekly Jack Eichel update. Pierre LeBrun, I think he tweeted or reported the other day that Kevin Adams and Pat Brisson, Eichel's agent, were talking 3 to 4 times a day. Darren Drager tweeted, sources say the Eichel saga may be shifting. Ongoing discussions and additional access to Jack Eichel's medical file has helped teams with trade interest clearly see a situation. Both sides are helpful. Something can be worked out soon with one of the clubs in the mix. Again, Pierre LeBrun. Eichel is going to get the ADR surgery with his new team and then be out 4 months or so with no guarantee he will be fully fixed up. So the Sabres are going to have to alter their trade demands. And he said, what I've heard around some teams around the league is that if this deal gets done, it's going to have a conditional aspect to the trade. Eichel's recovery and health very much affecting the final payout to the Sabres. And according to sources, Adams has acknowledged in trade talks that there may have to be a conditional aspect to the deal, likely games played. So I don't know if we have to dive too deep into that. I just want to keep it.
Can I quickly dive into the beginning where you said that they're talking 3 to 4 times a day? That just seems so crazy to me. Like Adam's
like high school girlfriend.
Pat answers the phone. He's like, "What's up? Hello." He's like,
"What are you eating? What are you
Frank
doing?
Rizzo.
What are you doing?" Same thing I was doing 23 minutes ago when you called me. Okay, what's Jack doing? He's rubbing his neck. He's waiting for you to trade him. Like it's like the 3 or 4 times a day conversations. It's just ridiculous.
Oh my God, that's good stuff.
Okay, call you later.
Comedy hour over here. You got any more? What else do you think they're talking about?
I got nothing.
Oh,
He's like, how many more 750 contracts you gave out? You fucking.
You into this OnlyFans thing too? Yeah, I didn't think so.
How the poopy Pagula's doing?
You see Bissonnette's jacket on TSN? Holy shit.
Oh my goodness.
I like
Fire this guy into a rocket ship to the moon.
What do you think RA's smoking today?
Want to build a sandcastle?
Yeah, I think he's just on the weed.
Okay, we're done. We're done, guys. We're getting silly.
fucking Beavis and Butthead. We got more of this fucking cable issue bullshit. Like in Colorado, this Altitude Sports and Dish and Comcast. Honestly, I try to figure it all out. Like it's just a bunch of greedy motherfuckers. Like the carriers say it's the fucking channel. The channel says the carrier. They all fight and point fingers at each other. There's Stan Kroenke. I think he owns that Altitude and the Nuggets.
Oh my God, that's the guy Troops hates. He owns Arsenal.
Dude. Like the Colorado
this guy's a true bad guy, huh?
You know what we need to do? All right.
He's Dr. Evil.
We gotta go Ocean's 12. We gotta go to the Dice Factory. We gotta go march to wherever the compound is, and we gotta get the tiki torches out, and we just gotta handle it ourselves. Because every fucking preseason,
So you can't watch them on TV.
Every preseason,
only
you're
direct
forced
TV
to
right
do
now.
this.
I think if
Oh my God, that is so crazy.
I mean, because there's so many carriers and so many contracts, it's a clusterfuck. You'd think they would just fix it, but then it gets worse.
Best team in the league.
New York City Metro teams, and now Comcast / Xfinity, they dropped MSG. So the Knicks, Devils, Rangers, and Islands fans are going to get worked over on this. Like I said, all these assholes just basically point the finger and say, "Oh, they want too much money. They want too much money," and the fans don't get to watch their team. I know
feel like
corporate assholes ain't going to listen to us, but these fucking people need to fix it for these fucking
I
hockey
think,
fans.
okay, the corporate side, the Cronkies of the world, that is not going to get fixed. At some point, you gotta tell me the Avalanche, the Islanders, whatever you just said, the Devils, they need to, like, with the league, get this figured out. Because you can't go to Stan Walter Cronkite and be like, dude, can you show your? He doesn't even. You know what I mean? That side doesn't even know or care. It's just numbers. But if the league gets involved, then it's a different ball game. These fans have no voice. They need their teams to fucking figure. The Colorado Avalanche need every person in Colorado to be watching their games.
All right. When we had Buchagras on, he described this whole breakdown of the streaming services. Now, could this be something that could be something to leapfrog it, or no?
Yeah,
no, because on those, at least in the past, you'd get blacked out.
Well, it doesn't help the local people who want to watch Colorado locally, because I don't think they'll be able to watch the Avalanche on ESPN Plus or Hulu. Like, basically, it's on Altitude, and the only carrier, from what I understand, in like the Denver area that is DirecTV. So if you have Dish or Comcast or someone else, they're not even airing these games. So, I mean, this has been going on for years. And like what you said, I don't know what the NHL can do here. It's their product. They need to fucking fix this, man. It's like, it's a new day. It's a new era.
Tag the NHL. Fucking send it. We'll make sure
we're doing it now.
Well, I meant like as in like
we'll do it live.
I meant like I meant like clip it for Grinelli so you can do it socially, so they can, the social justice warriors can actually join our side for once. But the biggest component to this is, all these TV deals they're signing with, TNT and ESPN. You're trying to grow the game, and you just joked about it. You got the best team and one of the best players in the world, and the local fans can't even fucking watch this guy thrive. Like, give it a fucking rest. So what's the guy's name again? The Arsenal owner?
Stan Kroenke.
Stan Kroenke.
Fuck you, Sam Kroenke. Lick our ball bags. We're coming after you with the tiki torches.
So St. Louis hates him because he moved the Rams out of St. Louis. And then the Arsenal fans hate him because he was part of the Super League and he's ruined that team. Troops, your team stinks. And he apparently owns Altitude. So he was
one of the guys behind the Super League soccer shit situation.
Yep.
Oh my God. I might have to.
He's Dr. Evil.
You know a guy, all right? You know a guy in Charleston who can help us out
fuck
here?
with billionaires, man. Who knows
I know
what
a few
they could
guys.
do.
I mean, we could talk off air. I don't want to, get anybody in trouble here.
All right.
Yeah. Then MSG. Dolan owns MSG, and like he's a notorious fucking cocksucker too. Everybody hates him. Fucking no. He hates Barstool. He's trying to call. I guess Dave was saying the story the other day, like when they had the Fire Dolan shirts. Dolan called up Michael Sherman and was like, "This is your company's making these T-shirts. Tell them to stop." And it's like, well, I don't know what Sherman said to him, but
seems like a super
well, Charles Oakley got into it with him.
Self-conscious billionaire, that Dolan. Like he is so cares what everyone thinks. I heard that on the podcast. That's crazy.
Charles Oakley tried to choke slam him at the Knicks game courtside. And then he got tossed from the building. That's the guy, right?
They just threw him out because he didn't like him, and like Charles Oakley sort of resisted. The guy's a New York Knicks
Charles
legend.
Oakley got in his face.
No,
yeah,
but I think when they tossed him, he hadn't done anything. I think once they tossed him, he tried getting his face. But I think he tried getting him tossed because he just hated him. That could be incorrect, though. He might have done something. I think
let's just make a rumor up. Who gives a shit? Fuck Dolan.
The funniest thing I think we've seen the last week, where it had to be Yandel's gold tooth mouthpiece that he was rocking. Like, where did he get that? Did you ask?
That was the best. I thought the best part is the fact that every time Carter Hart goes behind the net to set the puck up for him, he now says thank you out loud. So I'll let you tee up the whole story. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, that's funny. I had that after. Yeah, like we've heard it before. When Keith has the puck settled by his goalie, he'll always say thank you. And he said Carter Hart was maybe the first goalie to say, "Are you saying thank you to me?" And he says, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you're welcome." It's like they're two little buddies or something now, like being polite manners.
Keith's always been such a manners kid his whole life.
You almost got to get a thing going with the crowd every time that the Carter Hart sets it up. Time it with the ends.
You're welcome after he says it.
Yeah, maybe the Philly fans could start doing that. And then, of course, the gold tooth is just the cherry on top. Did he tell you he was going to do that with, Doug?
No, he never tells anyone. Actually, he probably tells Hazy a lot of stuff. I never know what he's going to do, what he's going to say, what's coming next, and boom, he just hits you with this comedy. The gold tooth mouth guard. Because somebody tweeted at us. I was like, is this a doctored photo? I'm like, he actually has this mouth guard.
What a
good piece of work. All right, we're almost at our season previews. We're going to do the Central Division first. We did.
Imagine I'm asking the dentist, so can you make one with a fake gold tooth? The guy's like, yeah, sure. I got you.
We should have him do a blackout. We can have a Spittin Chiclets advertisement on his teeth. That'd be right. Maybe.
I mean, all right. I like where your business mind's at, my friend.
Absolutely. One last note before we get to the previews here. Montreal goalie Carey Price, he took a voluntary leave to enter the NHLPA Player Assistance Program. His GM Bergevin spoke about the importance of asking for help, which is often the biggest hurdle for folks who are struggling, whatever they may be struggling with. It's none of our business. We just want to wish Carey Price the best, whatever he's dealing with, and hopefully we see him back on the ice as well. Biz, I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything to this.
I mean, there's really nothing much to add that hasn't already been said. I mean, Gallagher had some great words about it. Actually, Grinnell, roll the clip.
For sure. I mean, I touched on just how big of a role model he is for so many people, young hockey players, young fans, the Indigenous community, and that extends to Montreal Canadian players that have come through our locker room. He's a role model in that sense, and I'm sure it extends throughout the league. When you look at him, anytime they do those player polls, you see the amount of respect that he has from around the league and what he's accomplished on the ice, but off the ice, what he's meant for this community here in Montreal as well. He's a special person. He's a special friend. He's doing the right thing, and he's going to come back a better man.
And you could just tell so much what he means to his teammates. And guys, I've said it numerous times. If Carey Price ended up, if any guy just walked up and left because of whatever they were dealing with personally, I would wish him all the best and all the success in the world. This is just a game. When it comes to life, it's not really that serious in the grand scheme of things. So it sucks that we don't get to see him play, because we love watching him play, but his mental health is the priority numero one right now, and I wish him and his family all the best. So this is it sucks to hear, but it's great to see how their whole organization dealt with it and put the resources in place. And this is a good opportunity, Whit, and I'll throw it over to you right after this, to compliment the league, because I know that they get criticized socially about a lot of things, the way they handle things, but they've obviously put things in place to help guys in situations like this. So great job by the league and the team doctors and whoever helped him out in this situation, because right now he is getting the help that he needs.
No doubt. That's the most important thing. And it's slowly changing. I know Leonard said he feels like it isn't, but it's such a tough thing where I feel like most people who are 40 and older, or even 30 and older, it wasn't like a thing. And so as it becomes more vocal and more open to be saying that you're mentally not doing well, I mean, it's only going to help younger kids growing up and realizing. So I think for him to ask for help and be open to doing that, when so many generations before ours aren't comfortable with it, it shows a lot because you got to get stuff figured out. You got to get feeling right. And like you said, the game doesn't mean shit when it comes to you and your health.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about Leonard, I think that the frustration is it's maybe not taken even more seriously. It's not where he wants it to be. I think that even from when I first started playing, go ahead. Well, I just wanted to kind of follow that up because from when I started playing, like stuff like this wasn't even talked about, let alone like pretty much had things in place to help it out if it did happen. And now you see that, the minute that, he can go to the team and he can ask for this type of help, they do have resources in place where he can go and get the help that he needs. I mean, even going back to last year, like Jaren went through it and the fact that guys are able to be open about it and it's just, we're heading in the right direction, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
All right. Well said once again, gentlemen. Our Central Division preview is brought to you by Earnest. Earnest offers low-rate student loan refinancing, and you can check your rate risk-free in just 2 minutes. With Earnest, you get radically flexible payments, and you can pick your loan term. By refinancing, you can reduce your loan term, save money, or combine multiple loans into a simple monthly payment. And if you have questions, you can even talk to a real live human at Earnest for help. Isn't it time you stop feeling overwhelmed by your student debt? Well, Earnest is offering our listeners a $100 cash bonus. Refinance your student debt at earnest.com/chiclets. Terms and conditions apply. Once again, visit earnest.com/chiclets for more details. Terms and conditions apply. Earnest student loan refinancing made by Earnest Operations, LLC, NMLS number 1204917. California Finance and Law License number 6054788. 535 Mission Street, San Francisco, California, 94105. Visit earnest.com/licenses for a full list of licenses. All right, boys, finally getting to the previews here. Of course, we did the Eastern Conference last week. This week, we're going to do the Western Conference. Going to kick off with the Central. Biz, did you know that the average age of a player in the NHL this season is 27.4?
That's got to be down over the last 10 years, right? What has it gone down?
I don't know. I didn't get the fucking back.
Okay.
I just wanted to try to see if you like.
I would agree with you though, Biz.
I would think so too. League, like you said,
creeping younger and younger.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You guys mind if I take this jacket off? I'm sweating my balls off.
Go right ahead, buddy.
What you got to do, buddy?
All right, let's kick it off to Whit. Maybe to start off with the Coyotes. Are we going alphabetical?
Yeah, we're gonna same way as last time. But first,
I do with the Coyotes. I may just pour this glass of wine right over the microphone.
Hey, and one thing, folks, we'll try to keep it a little or move it along a little bit quicker. I know sometimes these things drag out a little bit, but the Central is a very, very loaded division. So, other than the Coyotes, I guess.
First off, whoever fucked up the playoff seedings last week. I thought they were still doing the intra-divisional fight your way out of your division, the playoffs, but apparently they went back to the top three in each division and then 2 wild cards. I don't know how I missed this. Apparently it was a press release somewhere. So remember they talked about having the fight your way out of your division, 2 playoff series, but it sounds like it lasted for a fucking year.
COVID just messed everything up, but yeah. I do remember this being the plan and the way it was. So I was at fault too, not realizing that was the case.
Okay. So after,
but it does make sense because in the end, like if in the Pacific, right, if there's 5 teams that are loaded out of the Central, and there's 3 good Pacific teams. It just doesn't seem right. So I like how they did that.
Yeah, there's more parity. It is a lot more fair that way. So after we do our previews, we can reshuffle our predictions from the East because we screwed them up. Or we can keep them the same if we think the same teams will be in. So also, I meant to say Cody Ceci left Pittsburgh, not arrived last week. Of course, he went to Edmonton. So one other correction. All right, Central Division, Arizona. I look at this team and I wonder in 2-3 years, are they going to be in Houston, moving to Houston because they don't have a new arena. The future looks rough there. Didn't qualify for the playoffs last year. They got a new coach, Andre Turigny, also bringing in Shane Gostisbehere, Anton Strawman, Alex Galchenyuk, Carter Hutton, and Karel Vejmelka in net. They're saying bye to Darcy Kemper, Antti Ranta, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Connor Garland. Cup odds 250-1. I mean, it feels like they basically got Chychrun and Keller are like the kind of the lone right spots there right now. What would you say?
Yeah, it's a tough time there. For forget the team. What you're saying is so true in terms of the uneasiness and not knowing what's going to happen. They have nowhere to play. They got to get a rink. So there's just so many things where I think that the most exciting part of this season is them bringing back the old jerseys. In a sense, like you're a team that you bring in a coach from junior and you know that you're going to be bad and you're looking to get some development out of guys that you consider to be a core part of the organization. Like the kid Barrett Hayton, they picked him 5th overall in 2018. He hasn't really done anything, so he'll get a chance this year. Dvorak's gone, and it's more about a team that's kind of playing to end up maybe getting the 1st overall pick. It's the Shane Wright kid, so everyone's talking about whoever wins the lottery gets him, and he can change an organization or a franchise, but this team's not going to do anything.
I just got back. I didn't hear much of what you said, Whit, but I am going to join you, and I poured myself out a nice glass of vino.
Nice, dude.
What did he say? Good. Was he bashing us? Sorry.
No, actually, I was very honest about the team, dude. It's just it's not ideal.
Tough sledding right now. It's tough sledding right now.
Well, they just went on a team glamping trip for team bonding, and I'm going to imagine that propels them in the right direction. Listen,
glamping.
They glamping. You ever been glamping?
Glamour camping.
Yeah,
it's apparently one of the hottest things in the country. Like it's just exploded.
Yeah, it's like the new avocado toast. Everybody's doing it. Okay, my Coyotes breakdown. By the way, happy birthday to Shane Doan. He just had his birthday. And one thing I forgot to say off the hop of the show, and all our Canadian listeners, I apologize. Happy Thanksgiving. Did you know that we have a different Thanksgiving, Whit?
Yes, I did. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
So they just got back from their team glamping trip, and let's go. Let's do the whole breakdown of the team. They're probably not going to be good as far as the standings are concerned, but they have 14 vets on forward with 3+ years experience. They really like that Timmins so far in camp. He was the guy who came over from Colorado. They're kind of like a similarity between like Seattle, where they're all the castaways. You know, Bill Armstrong made some great moves in the offseason to acquire a lot of draft picks. We got Andrew Ladd, Roussel, Louis Eriksson, Beagle. And there's just, a lot of guys out to prove a lot that have been kind of these castaways from other teams. And, I think that, with all that experience, they're not going to be as bad as I want them to be in order to gain that 1st overall pick that I caught.
They'll be right there for 1st overall. Don't you worry.
I believe so too by the end of it, but I think that they will have a more competitive team than most people think. Similar mentality to what RA said about Ottawa last year. Couple studs though in the pipeline that I'm really looking forward to watching this year. I know Chychrun is coming off a massive season last year. I'm hoping Keller takes that next step. And, they got some other guys who need to prove some stuff, like Gostisbehere, who got buried in Philadelphia. So it should be interesting. And one other thing I see happening towards the end of the year is probably Kessel getting moved over to a contender and them acquiring another high-end draft pick. So I just wanted to touch on that stuff, Whit. And of course, a new coach, and Andre Tourigny, a.k.a. the Bear. So no playoffs for my beloved Coyotes. As I said, I'm hoping they finish worse than what I expect that they're going to do, but I think that they have a lot of guys in this lineup that have things to prove, and they're going to bring that work ethic mentality every night. And don't be shy if they surprise a few people.
Yeah, because they get first 2 rounds of the next draft, 8 picks in the first 2 rounds of the next draft. So certainly stock on the cupboard for the future, no doubt. But none of us have them going to the playoffs, correct?
No,
0-4.
No playoffs.
Okay.
God, no.
Make sure we don't butcher it this time. All right, next up, the Chicago Blackhawks, our boy Chiefs team. Simple question. Are the Hawks back? They didn't qualify for the playoffs last year, but they made some significant changes. They said adios to Duncan Keith, Adam Boquist, Nikita Zadorov. They brought in the flower, Marc-Andre Fleury, Seth Jones, Caleb Jones, Tyler Johnson, Jake McCabe. 40-1 odds to win the Stanley Cup. They're getting also back a healthy Kirby Dach, a healthy Jonathan Taves.
Yep.
Like I said before, this Blackhawks team last year, you might not have turned them on. This year, you're definitely gonna. Biz, are the Hawks back?
A quick rundown of this whole team. Of course, goaltending. It wasn't really an issue last year, but they solidify a great 1-2 punch. We saw that Lankinen come on the scene. He did a great job in net for them, given the fact that they didn't really have much of a back end last year. Other than Duncan Keith, and then who's the other one there? Murphy, who just got the extension. So congratulations to him. They got their defenseman. Seth Jones. On top of that, keep an eye out for this McCabe kid coming off ACL surgery and this Riley Stillman. Okay. He's like a number 4 or 5 guy, lays guys out. So not only did they address it with Seth Jones, I think these other 2 guys will come on the scene and make an impact on the back end. So that bolsters that position. And you kind of set it up front, man. They got enough guys that get snapped around. They got Kane, Johnson, and DeBrincat playing together right now, and they got great chemistry. You're hoping Doc obviously comes in and has an impact after that injury-riddled season with that that was one of the nastiest wrist injuries I think I've ever seen. It looked like an L shape. Did it not?
That picture was terrible.
Or an S?
Mangled.
Maybe I was thinking of the wrong letter. And they got some good depth players, Carpenter and that Kara who came over from Edmonton. So, guys, I have them back in playoffs as long as they can get contributions from these guys that I'm mentioning. And then that Bjorkstrom, another guy, they got the first rounder from Florida a few years ago. So they got some young blood in that lineup. They got the stars in place. They got the good back end. They got the goaltending figured out. The best offseason, I would say, of any team in the National Hockey League. And they're back in playoffs in what I think is the toughest division in the National Hockey League.
Wow.
Yeah, crushing it. I just think that with everyone they brought in and Jones getting that huge extension, it's just all about Taves coming back. And to get him back in the lineup, apparently he's in ridiculous shape. You saw him score beauty in preseason, and their leader being back in the lineup just kind of changes the whole vibe. There's excitement there with whoever just came in with Fleury and Jones, but then to have him back, that crushes all of it. So to see what type of game he brings, I'm very interested. This is why I'm very interested to watch this team early. I want to see Seth Jones. I want to see how Taves bounces back. Kane is a machine. Kane, of his 4 best points per game seasons, 3 of them have been the last 3 years. So in terms of getting older, he's not slowing down. He's getting better. Are they in the playoffs or not? Oh,
it's difficult, man. This is the hardest division. I could miss 3 teams in this division, guys.
Them or Dallas for the 4th spot. That's not even considering Nashville.
Well, don't forget we just said the wild card aspect.
Hey,
I know.
Okay, just making sure.
And on top of that, I think they actually just picked up that Gustafsson who had a 60-point season with them.
So the fans there hate him. At least Chief hates the guy.
Wow. So he's probably legit.
I love you, Chief. That was funny.
I think you should go playoffs. I think you should follow my lead here.
All right,
man. I'm going to go playoffs.
Nice.
Eddie Flower.
G, you think?
I got him in playoffs.
Yeah, Flower's just too good. All those bodies coming back, all that skill they brought in, definitely going to be back in the playoffs. No doubt about it here. All right, moving right along, the Colorado Avalanche. New goalie, same mission. Last season ended tough for them. They lost in the second round, 4-2 to Vegas. They had injured goaltending, which was the undoing. They said goodbye to Philip Grubauer, Jonas Donskoy, Brandon Saad, Matt Calvert, Ryan Graves. They're bringing in Darren Helm, Ryan Murray, Darcy Kemper, and Mikhail Maltsev. Cup odds at 5-1. Newhook might be ready. They're hoping to get him inserted into the lineup. But basically, the time is now for this Colorado team. I mean, it's win or bust mode right now.
No doubt. I think that the way things are looking and the way things have gone, they continue to just make a jump each year. And the guys they brought in, I think, are huge. They're not like the biggest names. I mean, you talk about Kemper, that's a different story. But I look at like Ryan Murray on D. That's a solid player.
Yes.
Like that is the type of guy who probably play maybe top 4, but could be 5, 6. I mean, that guy's one of your 5th or 6th defensemen. You can win a Stanley Cup. And I think that when you look at like the forwards and what they have up front for firepower, in the playoffs, it's all about, being able to play defense. So that's why Kemper is the biggest, I'm not going to say issue, it's the biggest question mark in a sense that, like, can he be healthy? Can he continue to play the way he has been? And when they played like this game of chicken with Grubauer, right, they end up losing him. They had to be quite confident that they could get Kemper, you know what I'm saying? So like if you look at all of their hopes, right? They could talk about all their offense and the defense and Cale Makar and all these different aspects of like a great team they have, but if they don't get good goaltending, it's not going to matter.
I look at their lineup and you talk about Donskoy, Graves, and Grubauer. Like those are some, significant players to that lineup. You know, those are some tough losses, but they did a good job of replenishing that. You guys know how I feel about Darcy Kemper, given his numbers. Are things a little bit different when you're seeing, 40 shots a night compared to maybe 20, 25? Yeah, that might be difficult for a goalie to get into it first. So I'm not going to put too much stock in what we see from him maybe in the first 10, 15 games. As far as the back end's concerned, that Bo Byram, he didn't play in playoffs last year. I don't know whether the organization was protecting him. Well, guess what? Now is his time to shine. I think he's going to fit in perfectly in that top four. One thing, I felt that they got bumped around a little bit on the back end in playoffs. And even though, Graves is not a small guy either, I like how they addressed it by getting McDermott. Now they have that tough presence. He's going to be their sixth guy. Him and Jack Johnson, I would imagine, would be flopping out as that sixth guy. And we had I was going to trail off into the league's 5 top heavies before I keep going as far as this breakdown's concerned. I would consider McDermott a top 5 heavy. Who are your other 4 guys if you consider him in your top 5?
Off the top of my head, Reeves. Luch.
Yep, that's who I got too. He's in my top 5.
Gabriel.
So he's down right now. As far as willingness but I mean, hey, he'll be up and down, I believe, with the Leafs all year. Do you want me to list off the guys that I have?
Yeah, sure.
I got a couple question marks here. So I've got Revo. I have Delorier.
Big Z is the ultimate.
Z, yeah,
he is.
Z's in my top 5. I had the Dermy here. And then you mentioned Luch already. I also had Weber. Obviously, he's not playing this season, but the last guy I had was as a question mark was Matt Martin with the Islanders. Yeah. I don't know if I'd put him in the top 5, but he's on the cuffs there. But so I think adding that type of guy to scare other teams off. Now, mind you, I think that the top 6 on this team, and the reason I like them to make a run this year is much like last year, is they're big. They got they got Rantanen and Landy and Mack on their first line. Then they got Nishushkin, Kadri, who I guess you could say he's maybe a little bit on the smaller side, but he plays bigger, and that Burakovsky. So you have fucking a lot of big bodies up front who can work the walls and play. And then on the bottom 6, you have more of the energizer types. Like you got who's in their bottom 6? You got Tyson Jost.
They just signed Darren Helm as well.
Helm, who's a
veteran
speedster.
presence, will solidify.
So I think overall this lineup, they might not finish as high as they did last year in the standings, but I think this team is built better to go farther in playoffs. And I think that they've addressed some of the issues that they had, which being, I think that Kemper's a bit of a better goaltender than Grubauer. People might think I'm fucking crazy at the fact that he was a Vezina candidate last year. And the fact that I think that their defense are just a little bit better than last year. I think they are. I don't think that losing Graves is going to be that impactful based on what I think Byram's going to bring, and that they had that toughness, and that they added Murray as well as that other layer. Whereas if you lose Johnson again, I think Murray can step into that top 4 where it's not going to phase him as much. And we haven't even mentioned the fact that Taves right now is listed as out. I don't know how long he's going to be on the IR, but he adds an even bigger layer to that back end.
And young gun wise, just watch out for the Alex Newhook. I don't know if it'll be.
That's who I forgot to mention.
At some point during this season, he will just make like a jump, right? Where he played in the playoffs last year. This is going to be his first full year pro. I think that he's going to make a huge difference once the team gets into like later in the spring, into the winter to the spring playoff season. You're going to see him playing a huge role there.
Yeah, that's who I forgot to mention as far as that bottom 6 as the energy. You get that young blood in there with Yost and a few of those other guys, and I think that they're going to be really good.
Obviously, I would say all 4 of us agreed Colorado is going to the playoffs.
Yeah, brainer.
No fucking brainer. Absolutely. All right, moving right along. The Dallas Stars, they did not qualify for the playoffs last year. Do they rebound after a dud year? We'll see. They're bringing in Ryan Suter, Yanni Hakanpää, Luke Glendening, Michael Raffle. The cup odds are 27-1. Really didn't lose anybody of significance. Also brought in Braden Holtby. The big question mark, I guess, is the goalie carousel. You got Hudobin, Ottinger, Holtby, and Bishop. Bishop is on IR right now. You also got Sagan coming back after hip surgery, the healthiest he's been in a while. This is a team that was on the cusp of a cup a couple of years ago, and they really struggled last year. Biz, what do you think they're going to do this year?
I had that written down. Biggest disappointment probably last season coming after that cup final. Going back to the beginning of last season, though, they dealt with a rampant case of COVID throughout that locker room. They had to cancel games, and then they got jammed up in their schedule. So they just couldn't recover from that start. Now they've beefed up the back end by getting Suter. And to an already back end, which I would say their top four is nasty with Lindell, Heiskanen, and Klingberg. Like they probably one of the most mobile back ends. I mean, I know we just talked about the Avalanche, but these guys aren't far behind. And then you got Sekera and that Hakanpää as your six. Like that's a very, very healthy back end. You mentioned the issues in goaltending. I completely agree with that. Is Bishop still on the IR from that injury that was going on last year?
Yeah, he's on IR right now. He's starting the season on IR. So,
and I mean, he was such a young, promising goaltender with massive stuff. He was kind of like a Vasilevsky type, before he came around. And I don't know, Whit, looking at the forward group, I think that their issue last year was being able to put the puck in the back of the net. I don't mind their top two lines, but after that, it just kind of fizzles off. And, we saw that Robertson come on the scene. He was up for, I don't know if he was top three in the Calder voting, but he had a very, very impressive season last year. He was a
finalist, yes.
And, he's going to be playing with Rupe Hintz and Pabs. And then you got the Warthog line of Ben, Sagan, and Radulov, the Pussy Muncher line, or lack thereof. So I don't know. I have them as a non-playoff team this year. And I know they got that good back end. I don't think they can score.
I think they're going to get in. I think a lot of it comes down to Sagan, right? You missed him basically all last year. Like, what kind of player is he going to be this year when he comes back? If he's dominant and that changes everything, and they have two lines, you can score. And I think you're looking at a really good team. I mean, they're like you said, their top 4D can all play. Goaltending, well, it's not really sure who's going to end up being the number one. They have a lot of different options, which you can tell nowadays is a good thing. And then last year, like, it wasn't just COVID. They had those ice storms in Texas. It was just a disaster of a season. And I think, like, with health on their side, hopefully, knock on wood, and some of the veterans there, I think they can make the playoffs. And I like this team. I was shocked last year. I think everyone kind of was.
Yeah, I like Viz said, the COVID actually, ran rampant for them. The scheduling got all fucked up. They were so far behind the eight ball, man. It was almost
the
like
whole season.
Yeah, it's like you don't say it wasn't their fault, but like I don't think any team had to deal with the scheduling and COVID to that extent. I know Vancouver was screwed a little, but Dallas really got fucking whammied last year.
This is one of those teams, as I said, when I could get a few teams wrong, this team could potentially win the division. Who knows, right? I just, for whatever reason, I have more faith in Chicago, and it was between them and Chicago who I was picking to get in.
Let me see. So, yes. So you got him in, Biz? I'm sorry. I'm going to write it.
I do not have him in.
I got him in.
Whit has him in. G, what about you?
I do not. I'm on business side. I don't think they can score.
Okay. I think they bounce back. I think Dallas bounce back, get in. They got a pretty good squad, some offense. Let's see, moving right along here. Minnesota Wild. This is a team that finally got a personality thanks to Kirill Kaprizov last year. They're going to be looking to make strides after what they did last year. They did lose in the first round, but they certainly rallied their fan base. They put themselves back on the map. I would even go so far as to say they've brought in Alex Goligoski, Dmitry Kulikov, Jordy Ben, John Merrill, Freddie Gaudreau. They said adios to Zach Parise, Ryan Suter, Ian Cole, and Carson Soucy. Cup odds for them are 25-1. They got a new look D right now. It kind of needs to improve. They gave up 2.84 goals against last year. They want to bring that down. But they got a pretty good core of Eck, Brodin, Dumba, Spurgeon. And I think the question mark is center Marco Rossi, number 9 overall pick in 20, ready to emerge and help this team right now. Let's go to you, buddy.
The most exciting time you've ever had as a Wild fan, no? We dogged this team for years, and last year I said Kaprizov changed the entire vibe around them, the entire experience watching the team play on TV at least. It was all switched up with this one player, and that can happen. I mean, that can truly change an organization around, and I think he completely really. If he's not going this season, this team really has no chance. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to completely figure out and play the way the team needs to for them to be successful. So I know he can score offensively. He gets this huge contract. There's going to be more pressure with that. I don't doesn't seem like he comes off as the type of guy who cares at all about that. He just goes out and does his job. I don't know. I like some of the additions. They brought in Alex Goligoski. Who else did they bring in? They Kulikov, right? Came in from Edmonton. I got him written down. Those are two defensemen that can move the puck. They're later parts of their career. But I mean, I think John Merrill also, it's like getting some depth in a team on the back end, which kind of struggled. They did lose Suter, but up front, to have Fiala signed, to have Kaprizov and what he did, I think they're in the playoffs. I got them making the playoffs. I'll say that.
All right, you touched on it. The back end scares me a little bit. And I had here written down, can they build off that momentum from last season? And you could really sense a culture shift. And, I was not in that locker room based on, comments made about the fact that they got rid of Suter and Parise. They seemed to think that they were going in an even better way as far as shifting the culture. And I like them up front, though. And they got some big bodies, much like I said about Colorado. I like those big physical presence. You got Foligno, the fucking moose. You got Greenway on his other wing. How about that fucking line with Hartman? Maybe the depth at center scares me a little bit. I love that Zuccarello line, especially in the chemistry that they had with Kaprizov and that Eriksson Ek, one of the best bargains in the league, in my opinion, and the chemistry that they gained after Zuccarello came off injury at the start of the season. The back end, I have my question marks about it. And given the strength of the division, guys, I have them taking a step back and not making playoffs. I think this team is in great shape. I think that they could definitely shove it up my hoop and make playoffs, but it's just too tough of a division. And you touched on Fiala. I love his progression as a player, and he has that fire that he brings to the lineup night in and night out. And you see year over year, he keeps taking that another step. Last year, 20 goals, 20 apples, best point productions he's had in his whole career. I would imagine that, given the lack of offense in Nashville, they're probably regretting getting rid of him. But I like the team. I like the way that the culture's going. I love Billy G, but I don't have him making playoffs.
Yeah, he's really done a great job of just rebuilding this team in his own image. I mean, obviously potting with guys like Parise and Suter, mainstays in that franchise. He had no loyalty to them. So it was like, all right, I have no problem getting rid of these guys. And I mean, they're going to have some cap issues due to those buyouts soon enough. But right now, I think they're in the kind of win now window. And as far as the goaltender, man, Cam Talbot, I thought he was outstanding in the playoffs last year. It was a tough series loss for him, but I got Minnesota definitely 100% back in the playoffs. What about you, Grinelli?
Wow, okay.
I do as well, all right. I definitely got him back.
Young guys, watch that. Matt Boldy played at BC. I think BC, right, Grinelli? And he played World Juniors and then pretty much lit up the AHL when he went there. So he should get a chance this season with them. Another forward, big kid who can play. I think Biz is way off on the Wild.
Yeah, I could be way off on Dallas.
So far in this division, you have Colorado and Chicago only.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that Marco Rossi kid from Minnesota is going to have a good year as well.
All right,
Austrian.
there's Grinelli's pick.
Okay.
We're going off to the Preds now, and I'm going to keep it short and sweet.
Okay. Nashville Predators, last season ended. They lost in the first round, 4-2. They brought in Cody Glass, Phil Myers, David Riddick. They waved goodbye to Victor Arvidsson, Ryan Ellis, Cal Yancroc. Cup odds 90-1. A little bit of value there. UC Saros is an absolute stud. Is he enough to carry him to a playoff spot? We'll see. I think, what's his face? Cody Glass, he was a number 6 overall pick in 2017. There's some good potential there. We'll see what happens with the change of scenery with him. But I think, Biz, the question with Nashville is, has their window closed?
I feel like every year they just get like a tiny bit worse. I was surprised to see them make playoffs last year. I think they surprised everyone after giving that shitty start. I mean, I think we had Hines as the best odds to get canned after about 15, 20 games. And he was able to figure that team out. They were able to get it done defensively with unbelievable goaltending. I think the only playoff team last year where a defenseman led the team in scoring. They do not have any offensive threats up front other than maybe Forsberg. But as I mentioned, you had a defenseman lead your team in scoring. I don't think that they have a true number one center, and that's going to be difficult. The only slight sliver chance of hope that they have of making playoffs is if they rely on their goaltending. They get unbelievable structured game, and they don't give up any goals, and also contributions from a couple of their young prospects who we said that I said they didn't have much in the pipeline. I know a couple of you Predators fans lost your minds. You have Tolvanen and this Tomasino, who played in the AHL last year, also played World Juniors. Hey, who knows? Maybe these fucking kids come on the scene like Kaprizov did last year and they blow everybody out of the water and they somehow find their way in, but there's no way I have this team making playoffs in this division.
Biz, you mentioned like maybe they could win, because of how good Saros is, but like they got $8 million AAV to Johansson and Duchesne, and like they got to get offense from them, right? You're paying guys this much money, and in a sense, like you can look at who you're playing with or the entire team approach to how you play defensively, a little bit more defensively with John Hines, I would think, and playing to Nashville's strengths, you kind of have to. But they need those guys to produce. They paid them big dough. Those guys got to create. And when you lose Ellis, the backbone of that team, I think, Saros is, but on defense at least. And then Arvidsson, who is like not just a fan favorite, that shouldn't matter, but a guy who brought it every night for them. And I definitely do not see them making playoffs.
Yeah. I agree with you. They got Ekholm and Yossi on defense, but guys, other than that, it starts.
And Ekholm's coming up UFA, I think, right? So
I thought they
did they re-sign him?
I think they re-signed him, but
no, Ekholm is UFA after this.
Is
year.
he really?
Yeah, they just didn't trade him. They just didn't trade him because they wanted to get in, which they did, but he could end up being dealt, no doubt.
I'm -4 today.
No,
I thought I had a couple good points earlier.
I'm breaking your balls.
Like the Gypsy King being 40.
You know what, Nashville, I'm almost tempted to pick him to get in the playoffs just because I'm so high on UC Saros. He's that good of a goalie. I think his play could not single-handedly, but help them immensely get into the playoffs. It's just a question of, do I think they're going to get in over both St. Louis and Winnipeg? And I don't. So I'm going to go no for playoffs. Grinelli?
I'm going to go no. I actually think they're an injury or two away from being a lottery team. So I really wouldn't even be surprised if they're in the lottery this summer.
Shit.
Wow. Fucking
holy hot take.
Getting the fucking
I like that, G.
I love Nashville. Love the people in Nashville.
You got some fucking balls.
Remember we self-financed that trip to Nashville to spread the Chiclets gospel that time?
We did. What a trip. We shared a hotel room.
We did. That might have been the last time we shared one.
I slept on the floor. I had to sleep on the floor. That was a crazy experience.
That was a fucking awesome time. All right, moving right along. The St. Louis Blues, another team whose time is now. Of course, they won the Cup a couple of years ago. They're probably looking to get another one. Last season ended. They lost in the first round. They got swept by Colorado. New faces, Brandon Saad, Pavel Buchnevich, James Neal. They said bye to Sammy Blais, Vince Dunn, and Jaden Schwartz, among others. Their cup odds are 35-1. Of course, one of the big questions is Tarasenko. He, of course, asked for a trade a while back. He's been a model citizen since. Who knows? I'm assuming he's going to come out and play his balls off. They don't have to trade him, but we'll see what happens with that. St. Louis got a nice top four, though. Parayko, Falk, Krugs, Candela. What they need, I think, is a bounce back from Bennington this year. He was 18, 14, and 8, 265, 910 last year. Not exactly number one stuff for the kid. And will Klim Kostin stick? That's another question. Taken 31st overall in 2017. St. Louis, one of those teams, man, they should have been better last year. They weren't. Biz, we'll go with you first.
You guys know I'm a big Bennington fan, and this playoff prediction, and I have them in playoffs, is solely based on him having a very good bounce back season. You mentioned their top four. I mean, when you look at the whole division, there's like 4 or 5 teams that have an unbelievable top four back end. I think that they're one of them. And I think that it sucks to lose Sammy Blais and Schwartz, but I think that they actually improved as far as the offense. And that's also gambling on the fact that James Neal puts in 25 this year because they added Buchnevich, or if you ask Whitney, it's Anisimov, and Brandon Saad. So you look at their top 6 forwards with Kyrou in the mix as well. That's very good. And this is also the assumption that Tarasenko is as good as advertised and how he came in. This is a guy who had 5 30-plus goal seasons in a row, one of which he hit over 40 or 40 on the nose, and then another season he hit 39. If he can get back to his old ways, he has not played a lot of hockey in the last 2 years. So all those factors considered, I am a gambling man. I'm betting that the Blues are back in playoffs.
Wouldn't be surprised. I'm kind of struggling with this one, Biz. There are a lot of question marks that you're right. If Binnington plays great and they can get scoring from some of these guys bring in, and my Buchnevich Anisimov thing, they'll forever be the same person to me. So, but he's good, dude.
They are. They just changed birth certificates.
Exactly. Just different KHL teams they came up with. I think that last year was their first year without Pietrangelo, right? So they bring in Krug, who's awesome offensively, but he's not. There's really nobody that's the all-around player that he is. He's one of the best in the world. So in a year when it was probably tough for them to figure out their way, not having him, not having that guy to rely on, I think you'll see guys step up in different ways. Tarasenko is like the one question mark, right? Like, I think if he still wants to be traded, right, he has no reason not to go as 100% and play as hard as he can, which he really always has in terms of playing as well as he can to get out of town, if that's really his goal. So I think you're going to see a hugely motivated Tarasenko, like RA mentioned. I'm going to pick him to miss. I hate doing it, but I don't know. Something about the team, I don't know if it's still there. From winning that Stanley Cup, so many things have changed, and if Binnington's good, dude, they're going to get in. It's really up to that. But with scoring maybe being a question mark, and I don't know, Parayko having a little bit of a struggle in the past couple seasons, I actually have them missing.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you too, man. This is a team, they obviously won the Cup a couple years ago, but I don't know that they as elite as other teams in this division. I don't see them making it. My fifth, you'll find out in a minute. Grinelli?
I got him in. I love their depth up the middle. I mean, O'Reilly, Shen, Thomas, Bozak. I just love their depth up the middle.
All right.
Alrighty, and like I said, 35-1. Not a bad price for a team that won a Cup a couple of years ago. But all right, last team in the division before we send it over to Darnell Nurse, Winnipeg Jets. They showed up their D. They brought in Nate Schmidt and Brendan Dillon, a couple friends of the program. Of course, their season ended last year in the second round when they were swept by the Montreal Canadiens. Tough loss. Winnipeg Jets 40-1. Pretty nice price. I think
good odds.
I think there's some really good value there. If you're looking, by the way, all these odds are per the Barstool Sports book, of course. But Schmidt and Dillon are definitely going to improve that top four, Biz, and they got a high-end top six. Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler, Stastny, PLD. I'm assuming he'll get his game back. Ehlers. I think they shored the D up enough. This team, 100% getting the playoffs, could make even a run if Hellebuck stays hot.
I would probably put this top 9 forward group on par with Colorado. The only question mark I have is how is Dubois going to bounce back? Goaltending, Vezina caliber goaltender. Back end, comparable maybe to the rest of the division.
Much improved, though.
The fact that they were able to get Dillon and Schmidt is fucking nuts. We you guys know our opinions on Pionk and Morrissey. I think that they're an average D-court in can all things considered within the division. But this top 9, if they can stay healthy, oh my goodness. Some of the most underrated players in the league. I know we had Kopp and the Sandbagger, an excellent offensive player. Ehlers on top of that, Wheeler, Scheifele, and Connor in that top line. I love Lowry as a third line center. Kind of reminds me of him slotted in much like oh God, now I'm drawing a blank. Guy in Boston who was playing third line center, Coyle.
Oh, Chuck
like that,
Coyle.
He's like that Coyle type, that big body down the middle. He's positioned perfectly there, can produce that that third line scoring. Of course, with Stastny on the left side. Appleton was a bit of a tough loss, but I really like this team, guys, and I think that they're going to make playoffs. So I
love this team. I think I said they were one of the most improved teams in the league in the summer before we took our little break. And if you look at their forward unit, right, they can play with anyone. They have speed, and the Dubois thing is so true, Biz, because you didn't get the full sense of like what he can be as a player. And I'm not making excuses, but the whole way he went over, and I remember it was 2 weeks in a hotel room, and it was just a wacky year we talked about Dallas, many different individuals and teams to no fault of their own last year, just never were able to get it going. And the whole circumstance of COVID and everything around it certainly plays a factor. So Dubois being there, first of all, he wanted to be there, spends his summer there, as he talked about. And then for him to be comfortable going into the season, I think you're going to see a completely different player. And then the main thing is, like, when I talk about questioning the goaltending of teams that I didn't pick, like Hellebuck is right there, man. He is as good as, maybe not as good as anyone in the league, but he's a Vezina caliber goalie, and that's all you can really ask for. And then up front, with all the big guns they have, Scheifele's like a different level. I think he's one of only 4 guys to average a point per game in the last 5 years.
He's top 10 in the way he drives offense, if not top 5.
Yeah, McDavid, Crosby, and Marchand are the only other players in the last 5 years to average a point per game. So that's an elite level player. I love the team. I have him in. I knew that, so that gives me 5. This division is so true, Biz, in terms of like
nuts.
It could be a complete gong show for how things have worked out, and in the end, like, we could be so off on these as we usually are with our predictions.
Now
so
I
got
the
Blackhawks, the Avs, Dallas, Minnesota, and Winnipeg getting in.
Hey, I'm a fucking idiot. I totally forgot that I was able to pick 5 teams out of this division because I went back to last year and that only four through each division. So
so you were just asleep.
So if I could have a redo, I would probably have Dallas in the mix.
Okay.
Well, all right.
I completely.
Ari's not happy about that. You hear that noise?
No. Yeah. No, I'm just trying to get Grinelli's take on Winnipeg playoffs. That's all.
Love them.
Yeah, we all got Winnipeg in. And by the way, we got to give like full props to Connor Hellebuck. He's not Vezina caliber. He's a Vezina winner. He won it back in.
Oh fuck! I forgot about that.
Yeah, and actually, he was a finalist one other time too.
That's what I was basing it off of. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I just want to give him his props.
Winnipeg fans punching the steering wheel for the last 10 minutes.
Wayne from Winnie.
All right, boys. Well, we're gonna send it over to Darnell Nurse in 1 second, but let's talk about your button-down game for a second. You still wearing the same stiff shirts that wrinkle every time you look at them? Well, we're here to tell you there's another option courtesy of our friends over at Peter Millar. Peter Millar makes performance sport shirts that are designed to be super breathable and move with you so that you can stay comfortable and stylish no matter where the day takes you. These shirts feature all of the performance technology you would expect from Peter Millar, like 4-way stretch, moisture wicking, and easy care fabrication. They're available in both classic and tailored fits, as well as a variety of patterns and colors. So whether you head into the office or sit in center ice, you can do it in style with Peter Millar Performance Sports Shirts. Be sure to visit petermillar.com/chiclets for free shipping and a complimentary gift with your order. All right, boys. Now it's time to send it over to Edmonton defenseman Darnell Nurse, and I think you're going to enjoy this one. We're happy to bring on our next guest. This defenseman was taken 7th overall by the Oilers in the 2013 draft, and he became an NHL regular when he was just 20 years old. One of the many young defensive stars in the NHL. He's heading into his 8th season in Edmonton, and he's also got a gold medal from the 2015 World Junior Championships. Not a big deal. Thanks so much for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast. Darnell Nurse, how's it going, my friend?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. It's been we haven't been able to line up here for the last year, so it's nice to be able to do it.
We wanted you to secure your bag before we got you on.
Exactly.
So congratulations.
We'll get a payday and then we'll talk to you, pal.
We didn't want to mess that up for you.
The trend is either right, lose your job or get a payday. So I'm glad you held off on
it. Is that a JR chirp?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
That was more at you than anything.
Oh, okay.
Not just.
How's camp going so far?
It's always a little sensitive when we get Edmonton guys on because it brings up some old memories from Whit. So I take it easy on our boy here. I would say, go ahead, Whit. I'll let you start it off.
I was just gonna say, I'll chirp the West Edmonton Mall on how much I was despised, but I've been very clearly an open Oilers fan. I root for the Oilers to do well, so this is supposed to be the year, Darnell. Let's get it going now. I know you guys are chatting about that early.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think look around the room. Obviously, a lot of new faces, a whole different dynamic to the team, a more veteran team, and I think really excited about the group that we have and really mesh. And that's a big thing, right? You get into camp and you want to make sure that the group as a whole, you know how it is. Like you get into the locker room, not all the time are all those new personalities that come in, they're going to mesh. And in our case, it's been awesome. We got a great group, and that's the first step. Now we got to bring that all on the ice in the regular season.
One guy I want to mention, I'm sure you probably met him quite a bit as a fellow defenseman, Duncan Keith. When we first met him in a hotel room several years back, I never seen a guy with just such an aura about him when he just walks in the room. There's just like a sense of coolness. What's he been like working with so far?
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. Obviously, you bring in a guy into your organization who's, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, has done it all in the league, from winning Norrises, the winning Cups, to winning the Olympics. He's done it all. So for us as a group to be able to really pick some things from his brain, whether it's the preparation of the game, the work, like he's such a workhorse, comes in each and every day, each and every practice, tries to set the tone every time he has a rep. So when you see that coming from a guy that's 38 and has everything in this league, it really sets that tone. It's real infectious throughout the lineup. And as a D man, obviously, when I was a junior, he was going through those Chicago years where they're winning cups, and he was the man. And so for me, it's a lot of fun to be able to suit up beside him and pick his brain a little bit too.
Hey, I knew he was a competitive bastard. I told him this, too. We were in the minors the same year, the lockout in 2005. He was in Norfolk. I was in Wilkes-Barre, playing against each other. And I didn't know him. We were the same draft, but we were the same age, but I'd never met him. And he skates up. He's like, "You fucking suck, Whitney." I was like, Jesus, man. Lay off me. But I knew he was a gamer. He wanted to be better than everyone else. He was so driven then, and he still is now. It was just a little Oh, and by the way, his penalty last night, I saw your exhibition game against Vancouver, was the biggest bullshit call. You know the penalty he got last night? How crazy was that? Not to get you in trouble with the refs, but I don't know. It's just a little
He could afford the fine, Whit. Let it fly, Darnell.
No, it's like, hey, Biz, it's like Finland with speeding tickets. They fine you based on what you get, so they could fine him like $2 million now.
Yeah,
still nothing. That's
probably what he got in signing bonus.
There'll be an IOU for next year. Can't come for this year.
Might want to hold on to that one.
Kick in yet, Biz?
Yeah, that's a kick too.
Hey, have you? Has he been busting out a bunch of skates? Because I remember when I was playing with the Coyotes, he was getting them molded in our locker room, and I guess he busts out a new pair like every 5 games. Is he still abusing skates the way he used to?
I haven't seen that. I have heard that he uses a lot of skates, but I haven't seen that yet. He's only been around for just over a week, so I'll keep my eye out.
One of the things I wanted to mention, like going back to your deal, I know we joked around about it. I was listening to 32 Thoughts, formerly known as 31 Thoughts. And they were asking you about the 2 bridge deals and, how it affected you, playing through contract years like that. And you seem to be completely unfazed by that. Like, that's kind of, I guess, really not that standard, where most guys are a little bit nervous going into these contract years.
Yeah, it was, you know what, like for me, having done it the first time, I think the first bridge deal, you have a little bit of butterflies about it. Like you want to get something locked in. I think a lot of that goes into the hockey mentality too, right? Like you want to get as much money even if you're taking less money, but for more security and more years. And I came from a family with football players. So I remember talking to my dad, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about taking a 2-year deal." And I thought he was going to come through the phone and slap me in the back of the head and say, "Being a 2-year deal, right?" So, for me, having played through that pressure, and then in the first bridge deal, and then coming into the second one, it wasn't even a question for me. I was like, I'm going to bet on myself. I feel like I can take my game to a whole nother level. And I felt like I found a way to do that last year. And on top of that, I feel like I have a lot more left in me. So even coming into the summer, I was like, if we don't get a deal done and have to go and play out a contract year this year, I mean, that was fine with me. And looking back in retrospect, I think a lot of that confidence came from, really just staying true to myself and believing in myself the first time around, when I think in a lot of ways I could have just folded my hand.
Just wheeling his balls around a big old wheelbarrow in Edmonton all season long, both contract years. No, doesn't phase this guy.
Was it just a matter of everything going right for you last year? 16 goals, 20 assists, all over the place, highlights every night, just everything kind of clicking?
Yeah, it was a combination. I think there was a lot of work that went into it too as well. Like that was another part about, like, there was a lot of things that went right, but also, when I looked at my tape and look at myself as a player year after year, like there's been a progression to my game. It hasn't been something where all of a sudden out of nowhere, I was, putting myself in scoring opportunities and getting myself to high dangers. And I was like, I've been getting myself those type of opportunities for a little while now, is more being able to cash in on them and, making some adjustments to maybe not trying to go, high glove every time or trying to beat the goalie up high and just, maybe making a playable shot that if it doesn't go in, maybe there's a rebound. So just kind of making adjustments to my game, I think allowed me to kind of get to that next level. And like I said, I wasn't in no way content with last year. I feel like there's a lot more still to give. And, you look at the top D men in this league, they don't do it for 1 year. They do it year after year after year. And that's the level I want to get to.
If I could just hop in here quick. So I was thankful that Jim Playfair, your defensive coach, reached out, and he told me that during the summer, you get every game and you'll go through all your shifts and you'll write down in a journal about what you need to work on constantly. That is when did you start doing that? And that is like, I heard that, and that's just fucking wild, man.
I started watching, I was never a huge, I like to watch myself play. It's gonna sound, that's weird to say. I like to watch myself play, but when I first got to the league,
buddy.
I think there's nothing more honest than video. Like you can talk to yourself all you want, and coaches and your parents, they can tell you all you want about your game, but the most honest critic of your game is the video and you being able to sit down and watch it. So I started watching my game a lot, probably my second and third year. And then probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, actually when Jimmy became our D coach, that was the first summer that I got out the journal and started to take notes. And I found that was a big help, because I would have all these thoughts in my head of, each game that I was watching, but I would never really write it down. So I'd never be able to go back and say, I want to clean up this part of my game. And when I started to write it all down, I'd go through tendencies, and I go through like 10 game increments and see like the tendencies within my game that I could work on. And once I started to pick out those tendencies and be able to kind of like bounce them off Jimmy too. And I saw that too. And to go through those tendencies, and then you can lock in really on what you want to improve on as a player. And I think that's one of the things that for sure has helped me to get to that level.
Wow.
I think one of your most dominant attributes on the ice is your skating. Was that something where right from the get-go, you're 8-9 years old, you were always one of the best skaters, or was it later on when you really added the speed to your game? Because you can get up and down the ice so well, it makes your game that much easier.
Especially for a big guy too.
Yeah, no, skating was always a strength of mine. I was never a pretty skater though. Like growing up,
doesn't matter though.
I know, but those even watching the younger guys now, like, oh, he's so raw. Like that's what everyone always used to say, but like you just kind of, oh, this guy is so raw. So I started to work with the skating coach and whatnot. And then you get to the pros, and you get to the NHL. We've all been there. Like, oh, I worked on power skating my whole life. I don't need to work on that ever again. Like whatever. Like now I need to work on handling the puck and just playing the game. Power skating is not important. And so I kind of threw it out the window for probably 5 years and went back to it a year ago. Went back to actually the rink that I started. So like some of my earliest skating and skating lessons. And his name was Greg Moore at the Pond, and his daughter Michelle Moore was a figure skater when I was growing up, and she was going through all the Canadian nationals and whatnot. And now she's a skating coach. So went from working with Greg to now working with Michelle. And like after 5 years of really neglecting skating, and you do stuff every once in a while with the skating coach when you first got to camp in August, but to be able to do it all year round, it really helped me clean up my stride a little bit too.
I think things change a little bit when you got to go out of the gate against McDavid in practice most days. And then you're like, you know what? I think I might have to call up the old skating coach here to keep up with this guy.
Yeah. I thought it was fast. And then, he beats you down the wing 3 times in a row. So you're like, okay, I'll go back to the drawing board here.
Biz just mentioned Connor. Is it hard not to pinch yourself every day, Darnell, and just not take him for granted, knowing how this guy's a stratospheric player?
Yeah, he is obviously unbelievable. I think, I was thinking like the best way to describe him is, you go into summer hockey and you want to make all these plays, these little backhand sauce plays and plays through guys' skates and whatnot. And it probably works 1 out of 10 times. So it works for him 9 out of 10 times against the best players in the world at their peak. So like that's the type of players, right? And it's a lot of fun to play alongside him. And the work that he brings to the rink each and every day. Like, it's not just the God-given gift that he has to play this game. It's, the work and dedication he has to the game as well. So it's for our team, obviously it sets a great example for everybody. And obviously we all have the pleasure of seeing it night in and night out.
He can't cook worth a shit though. I heard he can't cook because you lived with him when you first got there.
Why does he got to cook? He does everything else, dude. He should have 4 cooks.
Well, I don't know. Everyone's so fascinated with McJesus. Guy can't even work himself around a kitchen. Peasant. What's he making? Like,
dude, if he'd probably cook one time and get some deal with Emerald on the Food Network and be chopping it up, making the most money on A&E fucking.
Come out with his own knife set.
Have Bobby Flay in his overnight bag.
Hey, what was it like living with him?
Oh, it was great. But like living with him was very eye-opening, like for myself, because I mean, I was a guy that 1 o'clock in the morning, you get home off the road, I'm stopping at A&W or getting stopping at the McDonald's drive-thru and grabbing a little bit too much food, and then going back to him and bearing it, and living with him, you're like, this guy doesn't eat bad. Like, I mean, every once in a while, right? You'll have a bad meal, but it's like most days, like if you have a 30-day month, 29 days, this guy is eating correct every meal, every second, like doing everything right in his body, get ready for the next day. And for me, I was like, man, I should probably dial in some of this nutrition stuff myself. Like, I think that was the biggest thing I probably took away from him in the 2 years living together. And just like a competitor, I think also like we had a ping pong table, and I might have won maybe one game at the ping pong table. And I'm the sorest of losers. And like I was bad. Like, we probably play 100 games, he won 99, and the one time he lost was probably worse than all 99. But I also was kind of rubbing in his face a little bit.
So McDavid's a fat shamer. Now you tweeted out. No. Get the headline. No, this is all we want. We got the headline. Thanks for joining us, Nursey. That's all we needed. Hey, has he been bitching about his contractor still? Because when we had him on, he was just finishing his house, and I actually think it was Rick from Red Deer, the Calgary Flames fan, who ended up.
The guy hosed him.
The guy hosed him, I guess.
I'm gonna leave that to him. I'm not gonna speak on his personal affairs.
he didn't build his basketball shooting room ceiling high enough, because if he shoots a 3-pointer, it's going to hit the roof.
I can dunk on his net. That's all.
Okay,
I mean?
That's all the Nurse cares about.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. He is there no color at the paint shops in Edmonton either? Just shades, just white, black, and gray. That's it.
It's a beautiful house. Like, honestly, you probably obviously you've seen it because it was the black white. Like, it's a beautiful house.
But just tried sneaking in there.
I've snuck in when you guys are on the road.
Well, they took all the pink from Edmonton. Took all the pink from Edmonton and put in your outfit. So I
take all the crusty socks off the floor. I'm trying to make the next best hockey player, like the Hughes family.
Selling them at outside Rexall.
Like he's like the what's his face, like Newman in Jurassic Park.
You can get him on the new Canadian Barstool Chiclets store. Free shipping, by the way, for McDavid's crusty socks. Hey, okay, let's get it back on the rails here. Going back to your dedication to the game, obviously your off ice training. Matty Nichols a big component to that, and you talked about like some of the things that you would watch on tape and try to correct your game. I think you're one of the guys using Adam Oates for video as well, right? Yeah.
No, I am. I've been using Oatesy for 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now. Yeah, 5 years. So yeah, he's like the way that Oatesy sees a game obviously is completely different than first off, when I first came to the league. You first come to the league, you're just trying to survive in the lineup every night. So there's a lot of glassing out and just trying to be very, very simple. And Oatesy really opened up my eyes to, making plays in the D zone and being more active and activating and having more confidence as well. Whenever you're getting those reps in the summer and you're out on the ice, it brings confidence within you as a player. And I think, in this game, that's one of the most important things. Like, if you're not confident, you're not going to be able to do anything in this league. So you got to be able to trust yourself. And I think that the work that I put in with Oatesy and all he does, obviously with a lot of guys in the league, it definitely helps the game.
Does he bring up the the possibility of when McDavid's on the ice, just these little tiny short breakout passes to him swinging. Like that had to be one thing. He's like, dude, you'll get a couple second assists. Just give him a 3-footer to him in front of the net.
Couple drop passes, just get a touch on it.
Yeah.
Just find him.
Yeah. No, I think well, he's always in the right spot. So if he's in front of someone, you just throw it. But we have Leon too. That you could give him a pass in the corner, and he'll throw a backhand sauce 3/4 of the ice down, 3/4 of the ice on tape to tape to get on the breakaway. So we're pretty fortunate in that regard.
Yeah, I know, Leon. We're starting a cologne together. He just won't. He just won't answer my texts. I actually just got the restraining order.
Do you know what that means, Nurse?
Him and McDavid went halves on the restraining order.
Do you know what he's saying when he says that?
Well, I'm guessing because of his hometown.
Dude, he was fucking on Google one time. We were recording. We're talking about Draisaitl. So he Googled him, and he's like, "Oh, boys, also he's looks like he's starting a new cologne." And we were like, "You mean he's from Cologne, Germany?" He's like, "Oh shit."
Only the best from the boys at Spittin Chiclets over here.
We got a vet biz.
All right, what do you got for him? You got a question?
Well, I was going to follow up with Otzi. Have you ever dealt with a hockey mind, anything quite like Otzi before? Anything close?
Never. Nothing even remotely close. He's a hockey addict. Like he knows every play that went on in every game, each and every night. And you can call him back he'll call you back and say like, "Oh, there's this play, in the Winnipeg, New York game 2 weeks ago. You should go check it out." Like, Otzi, why are you watching? Why are you watching that game? And how can you remember that from 2 weeks ago? Right? Like, so there's like his mind and his ability to just see plays, and when you get on the ice for him to be able to like just break it down with you and not overcomplicate it too much. I think as a player, that's what you want, because I mean it's easy to go out with these skills coaches and they throw out 120 pucks and 120 pylons in time you go through them. Is that going to help your game? Probably not too much. It'll make for a good Instagram clip, but I don't know if it'll do too much in helping you in the day-to-day of playing in the NHL. So I've been very fortunate to work with him, and that his mind is one of a kind.
I read at 15 you were 6'4", 176 pounds. Now, were you just burying every kid out there regardless of size? Were you picking your spots? Were you keeping bullies in line? Like, when you're that much bigger than these kids, how are you handling that?
I was big, but if you like rewind it to 14, I was 6'2", 135 pounds, where like a light breeze from the west would knock me over. Like it was I was very skinny. So when I got to like 15, 16, and to be able to kind of put like my whole frame together and be able to actually move. And I feel like there was a year there probably when I was like 14, 15, where I was kind of like Bambi on the ice, because I hit a big growth spurt and hadn't really got coordinated with the legs and whatnot. So at 16, I kind of started to put it all together, and that was right before I went into Sault Ste. Marie. And yeah, it was fun out there, because you could get away with a lot of cheating down the wall on a pinch and get back and just throw someone to the ice. You get away with that stuff. You can't get away with that anymore in the NHL, but it was fun back then.
I waited to become Bambi until I actually got to the NHL. So it's unfortunate that it went backwards for me. But the other aspect of your game, and we have to bring up this clip, is like the fighting and like the playing mean, which is so valuable to true number one defenseman. And so like with you, like there's a clip of your father I think you were fighting McCormick from Ottawa. He's like, beat his ass. Like obviously, has this been a part of your game since the OHL, or was it even before that, where you were just willing to do anything when you got on the ice?
It was probably the OHL, because you couldn't really fight before that, right? Like you're in minor hockey, you couldn't really fight before that. We used to have a pretty good rivalry against Honeybaked, and I'm gonna
CompuWare. They had Little Caesars in that.
Yeah, we had a good.
Was that like Werenski's age? Are you like Werenski's age?
No, a little older. But okay. So like me and Mikey McCarron. Like Mikey McCarron, I don't know if you remember him. You probably so he was just a unit, like ever since we've been 14, 15. So we had this huge rivalry. So we used to always go at it. That was the closest thing that I ever got to a fight. We had a little mix up in the corner where, you smacking each other's cages. That was the closest thing to a fight till I got to the OHL. And then I got to the OHL. I got in a couple my first year. And then my second year, you're trying to impress the scouts and whatnot and show that you can do everything. So I think he probably got like 10 that year and was able to put up some points too. So the whole fighting part of it, I'm very fortunate because I'm in the position that I don't have to fight, right? Like I think I heard Biz talking about this one time, like he enjoyed fighting until it kind of like became his job where he knew he had to go out each and every night and fight. And I'm fortunate I'm in the place that I can fight because like it's enjoyable to do sometimes. And, there's that rush.
You just want to punch someone.
I was doing all those fucking pylon drills. And all of a sudden I had to.
Popping it on his Instagram.
I didn't get the Adam Oates memo.
You couldn't have afforded Oatesy.
Yeah. Whit waited to the NHL to become Bambi. I waited to the NHL to become a pylon.
But yeah, no, it's just like, so like I've been very fortunate that I'm in a position to like, yeah, if I want to stand up for my teammates always like that, I'll never turn one down. And, when I first got into the league, I think I probably made more of a point to get in fights with some guys that were, tougher in the league, just to show like I'm willing and able to do it at any time. It's not to go out there and be the toughest guy in the league. It's just say, look, it doesn't matter who it is. Like if I need to stand up for a guy on my team, I'll go anyone. And that was kind of always been my mindset. And that came from, how I grew up. My parents always taught us that, like as kids, like you stand up for your family, like your sisters growing up and going to school. And so that's just kind of how I've always been. So, you see my old man on the Jumbotron or on Sportsnet there yelling "Be his ass." It was that was pretty funny. I remember coming back to the room. That was in Ottawa. Coming back to the room after in Ottawa, and the media guy JJ at the time was like, "You got to see this clip. You got to see this clip." Or what? Like what clip? He's like, "I'm not even gonna tell you. Just watch this clip." Pulls it up, and I'm like, "Oh no." So I was like, "Yeah, be his ass." And I see my old man after, and he's all fired up. Like, and the one thing about my dad is like he doesn't like when I fight. Like my mom is actually doesn't mind when I fight. She's like, "Oh, you'll be fine to take care of yourself." But my old man is like, "You don't need to fight. Just go play hockey." And I'm like, sure enough, I show him that clip. I'm like, "Yeah, you don't like it when I fight, huh? Like, you sure seem to like it." So yeah, that's kind of just how I was brought up. And yeah, the fighting part of it, I can enjoy it because I can just do it what it needs to be done. And
Now I know why you were afraid to sign that bridge deal when he called you and was yelling at you. He looked pretty intense in that clip. Now, I'm sure a lot of that aggression comes from his CFL days. He ended up playing for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, right? So your whole family is just an absolute pedigree of athletes. You have Kia, who's an WNBA All-Star, Sarah, who's a hockey star on the female side. Your uncle is Donovan McNabb as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
you just have this massive sports family.
Oh yeah, and then all of them bring home these huge accolades every year that can make you feel real insignificant about yourself, even playing in the NFL. So it's kind of funny. Like even growing up playing like minor hockey and whatnot. Like if you had, it was school and sports. So if you had like the worst mark, if you came home with the worst mark, like you were shamed at the dinner table. And then I just like one story. Me and my sister, so we're running cross country, and I was never like a really good runner at all. So we ran cross country. I think I was in grade 6. She was in grade 5. So run cross country. I feel like I put on a pretty good effort, right? And coming out, I think it was like 52nd place. So 52nd out of like, there's like 300 kids. So I'm like, oh, that's not bad. Like I put on, get to the dinner table. What place you come, Darnell? Oh, 53. Like I really gave it my all. Oh, cool. What place you come, Kia? First. See, Darnell? That's what we need from you. Like it was just like demoralizing, like the next year I came 6th because I worked on my running all summer because of the performance my sister put on. But yeah, so that's the kind of family I grew up in.
Hey, so your sister Kia, like I think she was 10th overall pick. I'm reading in the WNBA draft and played at UConn. Were those UConn teams that won the NCAA title every year? Did she kind of miss that? How'd she do in those tourneys?
Yeah, she won her first 2 years, and then they lost in the Final Four her second 2 years. Yeah, so she got 2 national championships.
She has 2, and then like when she was drafted to the WNBA, it must have been like pretty cool for you guys. I mean, like for her to be that good of a college star, coming from Canada too, which is happening more and more now with hoops.
Oh yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, big time. Yeah, like even when she was first, like initially going through the recruiting process, like UConn was like a dream of hers, but it wasn't really something that she thought was possible. And then they went off to AAU tournament in the States, and she had a great tournament. The UConn coaches were there. So then she got the call that they wanted to offer her a scholarship. And it was like, no matter what she had on the table before that, like it was all out the window. Like she was going to UConn. So yeah, it was very, very, very impressive. And like for us, it was always fun to watch. And I think she started like after her, I want to say like 4 or 5 games into like her career at UConn, she started the rest of her career. So she was a big part of all those teams.
And her team is currently in the semifinals. What is it? The Phoenix
Mercury.
Phoenix Mercury. Unfortunately, she got injured last night.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
No, I know.
That's terrible. And then I was going to ask you a little bit about Sarah. Like, given like the hockey backgrounds, you'll probably keep in touch with her quite a bit. Yeah,
and we actually played against each other. Funny enough, like when we were really young, like 7, 8 years old, like we actually played against each other in Hamilton. And she had more skill than me then for sure, but I was a better skater.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you guys are only a month apart. You must have battled together as little cousins, no? Like when you're that young.
Oh yeah, she was like just right in the mix. Like I think that it goes into like even Christmas dinner, like talking about like that competition of like what can you bring to the dinner table, whether it's a gold medal, and like that extended to Christmas dinner with the extended family. So like there's still debates to this day about who's the greatest athlete in my dad's family, like between my aunts and uncles, and it's like it's a ruthless, like gutless battle that goes on each and every Christmas.
Now, you obviously have CFL history with your dad and NFL history we just mentioned with your cousin. Which league do you prefer to watch?
Be careful.
Be honest. I know you're afraid of your dad. Be honest.
And who's your NFL team?
All right. All I'll say, sorry, Darnell, is you get a point for punts in the fucking CFL. It's one of the worst leagues in the world.
The Rouge.
No, it's not one of the worst leagues in the world. But I'll say I love the Hamilton Ticats. That's my hometown. Love the Hamilton Ticats, and my dad played. However, I'm a huge NFL fan because I think every team you have these huge NFL pools, and you got the NFL fantasy football. Like I think they just like market that game so well. It's just you just feel so involved all NFL season. So NFL for me.
Who's your team? You must have one.
It's tough when a league when half the teams make the finals every year. It's just a little bit difficult when there's that many.
You're Canadian, biz though. Like you should be helping out.
I ripped the CFL. I ripped the CFL on my Twitter one time because I posted that clip of when
people go at you.
Oh yeah. No, I had to go in a witness protection program.
I think in my battles,
kind of like McDavid's contractor.
My battles over the CFL, I was also able at one point to say, guys, there's like 8 teams in the league and 2 teams are named the Rough Riders. That was when like that's 2 teams with the same is name. A parody? Like, is this a real argument here, boys?
Yeah,
but I know that's
different. A joke? Now. Yeah, that's so funny.
I actually want to go back to, I believe it was the 14-15 season. You actually played the OHL, AHL, and NHL the entirety of that season. That must have been quite a whirlwind, eh?
Yeah, it was awesome. Like I had started the year. That's when I played my first game in LA with the Oilers. So started the year, got sent down to Sault Ste. Marie. So I mean, you get sent down after playing a couple of games in the NHL. Even if it was 2, you feel like just a big shot, right? Going back to junior. So yeah, it was an interesting year. Like it was the first time like I'd really been like, I wouldn't say. No, I'd be the second year because I'm thinking of 13, 14. But that year was probably like one of my favorite years, and 14, 15 was probably one of my favorite years playing hockey because kind of got to experience it all. Like we obviously got to play in the NHL, which was a dream come true. And then at Christmas time got to play in the World Juniors, which we got to play in Canada, which was just over the top. Like we played in Montreal. I remember like we played Montreal on I think it was Boxing Day against either Boxing Day or New Year. It might have been New Year's actually against Team USA. And, it was sold out. I'm like, this is the best atmosphere. Like, there's never going to be a better atmosphere like this to ever play. And then we played in the quarterfinals in Toronto, and it was just on a whole nother level. Like, guys, you score a goal. Like, I remember, like, Max Domi score a goal, and they were chanting Domi. Like, you couldn't even hear yourself think, and they were just chanting Domi, and, like, place was rocking. And we had an unbelievable team. So yeah, that was so we had won the World Juniors that year, and then Sault Ste. Marie, we had a really good team in Sault Ste. Marie. Sheldon Keefe was our coach, and then we had brought in like a lot of really really good players, and had a fairly decent run. Ended up losing to Connor in the Western Conference Finals in the OHL, and then ended up going to OKC, and I think we played Utica that year in the playoffs. So I only ended up playing like the last 4 games in the series, but it was kind of like a cool way to cap off, a year where I had to play in 3 different leagues and play, some pretty important hockey throughout it. So yeah, it was one of my favorite years of in hockey, and I think it was just when you play that many places, you get to meet a whole lot of different personalities and a lot of different people, and experience a lot of things, right? Like you go from Sault Ste. Marie, where we had a good team. We traveled a lot though on the bus, but like we had a good team. We went to OKC, and OKC we were playing Utica, so you got a little taste of the 4 a.m. bus ride to the airport and the 2 flights to New York, and then the 6-hour bus ride to 4-hour bus ride to Utica.
And their fans are nuts too. In that auditorium, they have a great fan base there as well. So yeah.
Yeah, so I got like a little taste of everything that season. We started it off in Santa Monica and playing against the LA Kings, and finished it off in Utica. So it was a crazy year.
Run on the gamut. Who was your first?
You're talking. Oh, go ahead. All right. Sorry,
when you first your first couple games at Edmonton, who was your D partner?
Oh goodness, I can't like. Yeah, that's bad.
Way to go, all right. Put him on the spot.
The Edmonton Oilers for a few years have been like a little bit of
he didn't have one.
3-ring
just him.
On the D end.
Don't worry, they don't remember either.
I can't even. Honestly, the only thing I remember about my first game was the first shift. I think I had a hit, maybe a hit or 2, a shot on net, and I was -1. So that was my first shift. That's basically all I remember from the first 2 games.
I want to talk a little bit more about the current defenseman. So you guys lose Adam Larsson. That's a very difficult loss. But Jim Playfair also messaged over that you ended up training with Evan Bouchard all summer. He's a very high-end prospect in your organization. Considering, like, I don't know if you did or not have somebody take you under their wing, you're now taking him under your wing. I don't know if he's going to make the squad, but that must have been pretty special for him. And I would assume that you were training with him with Matty Nickel.
No, I actually put me on the spot. I actually I switched trainers.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. No.
I switched trainers. I'm north. I'm north, but I started working out with Connor and up at Gary Roberts' gym. Yeah, that would have been just over a year and a half ago. So, but no, me and Bush were skating together. Actually, we were talking about power skating. So we skated together every week. And hopefully he enjoyed it. I mean, like for me, obviously, whenever you have the opportunity to work with your teammates over the course of summer, I think it's a huge add, because, you're bringing the same type of intensity and work ethic that you want during the season. You want to be pushed to that extent in the summertime too. And I think whenever you're doing that with your own teammates, it's, for me, I'm like, okay, Bush is one of our high-end prospects. He's a guy that's going to be a really good player in this league, a really big part of our team. So, I think it would be, great for us to work together and push each other. So as much as I was trying to push Bush was pushing me each and every day, because he comes out there and he brings he bring the work that we needed to get better. So it was a lot of fun in the summer, and obviously working with Bush in the power skating, and working with Davo in the gym, and as well we had Warren Fogle, Devin Shore, Zach Hyman. So we had a mini Edmonton Oilers group going there.
Wow. It was probably just a location reason then, I guess, with Maddie, because I know he ended up getting a new gym set up, but it's pretty far away, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a little different spot. We ended up working out with Connor just after the bubble, actually, and so that ended up going a little further north once the pandemic hit, and working out with Adrian at Gary's place, and it's helped me a lot.
I thought Connor switched over to Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod for trainers. I don't know if you saw the new. I don't think. Did you see the new commercial?
The commercial. His acting's commercial. That was really good.
His acting's getting pretty good, isn't it? He's the new Tom Brady.
That is very, very, very good acting there. So,
do you guys bust his
Botox?
Balls? Hey, did you guys bust his balls about all the acting stuff?
No, I think because I think it's almost expected in the position that he's in, that he's going to be put in the spots where he's got to do a little bit of acting, and he's doing a great job with it. Like one of my favorite ones before was the commercial where he would take a shot and all of a sudden he was sitting down sipping on like a pina colada. You know, I don't know if that was like a CCM one. So his acting's come a long way.
It has, yeah. He's like David Hasselhoff now. He's got the tanning bed in his new place.
What about the Olympics this year? I mean, you see all the teams are naming their first 3 players, and every list that I see for Team Canada, you're on it. I mean, I know you're just playing your game and not trying to think about it, but it's got to be a little exciting to know you have a chance to represent Team Canada in Beijing. Yeah,
it's definitely a goal. I think, it comes along the line with, winning a Stanley Cup and playing in the NHL. A lot of those high-end Canadian moments that, you think about, where was I at this moment? Like when Crosby scores in Vancouver, like those are moments as a Canadian. Maybe I know you don't like it, Whit, but moments as a Canadian that
he does. He fucking put $24 million in his bank account. He doesn't give a shit.
I actually bet on him that game. The score of the game winner.
Okay,
Barstool Sportsbook.
Yeah, those are kind of type of moments you look back on and you're like, wow, I wish I was a part of that. And with this opportunity coming up, it's definitely a goal of mine, but you got to focus on the task at hand. So I'm just worried about what I can do with our team here in Edmonton and put ourselves in a good spot when that comes.
Every time
I don't know if you know, Biz. Hold on, I don't know if you know. That's why the Canadians didn't win the cup, because Carey Price was thinking about the Beijing Olympics instead of the cup final. Biz told us that.
I was another dumb question I asked on this podcast, Darnell. I'm not sure if you heard that one, but hey, here's a way to make the Olympic team. Every time you play against a team with a guy who might make the squad, little fucking cross check in the ribs, little high.
I don't know if you saw the new cross checking rules, but you can't do that anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Hey, get him off the ice like the old Nancy Kerrigan special.
Oh, good.
Okay,
the game's changed a little bit.
That's true. All right, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah. Looking at the 15-16 season, I know you started on the minors. Then with Edmonton, they sent you back for 3 games. Then they brought you back. Did you know when you come back after those last 3 games, you were never going back to the minors? Like you were like, that's it, I'm done.
I mean, that was a goal. I was kind of hoping after I got called up the first time that I went and played 70 whatever games. I wasn't going back down. I remember the AHL team had been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs probably like a week before our season was finishing. So I'm like, oh, maybe I won't have to go. And sure enough, the exit meeting, I hadn't had a flight booked, so I just kind of knew it was coming to go down and cap off the season for the last 3 games. So yeah, it was when I went down there, it was definitely a goal of mine. I was like, okay, I want to be in this league and not have to go down and play in the minors again.
Was it your first goal called up that you scored? Not your first goal.
No, it was my 3rd game. It was my first year. I ended up playing 2 games. It was actually I probably played against you, Biz. You might not have been out there, but I think I had a pizza up the middle. That's what sent me back to junior. My that was the first 2 games that would have been the 14-15 year, and then 15-16 the first game in 15-16 I got called up. I ended up scoring in Minnesota, so that was a special moment. That was the first game my parents had gone to too.
Who was it on?
Dubnik.
Okay, and you got an early sussy too, right?
Yeah, I got it early. Yeah, I did get it. My first year, I got it early. Yeah, that was a bad one. Yeah.
I want to talk to you about Tip. So I had Tip as a coach. Like, he was very defensive minded when I had him. I mean, we also didn't have the weapons to be an offensive type of team. Like, how has he adjusted since he's been back as a coach, and what has been your experience with him?
Yeah, I think he brings exactly what our team probably has been missing for a long time. Like, Edmonton, for as long as I've played here, we've always been able to score with anyone in the league. Like, you come in and we can score with anyone. But the defensive side of the game, we definitely weren't as dialed in with. And with Tip coming in, he's kind of brought that perfect mesh of, you're able to create offense and not taking away that offense from the players and making those plays, but at the same time being accountable in the defensive end and taking away, opportunities that we're giving up, and as well as, trying to limit goals against. I think for a team, like I said, we can score with anyone, but to have that mindset that each and every guy is going to check just as hard as we're going to play the offensive side of the puck, that's something that Tip's definitely brought in and helped our team get better with.
You mentioned Hyman in this summer, and like I watched the All or Nothing thing on the Maple Leafs we've chatted about on the podcast, and noticeably he was a big part of Toronto. To get him over there, I mean, he's making a lot of money, but just to be able to play on one of those top lines and the energy he brings, you could probably tell already in camp how good this guy's going to be for you. Yeah,
and he's a guy you can plug in anywhere, right? I think that's the biggest thing about him is he can play anywhere within your lineup, and on top of that, like the work ethic that Hymes brings to the rink each and every night, like you can't put a price on that, because the way that he works, whether he's in the first or second line and he's coming out there and outworking everyone on the ice, like that's infectious throughout your whole group. Like those are the kind of guys that push your team to another level. That if you're trying to create a culture and the way that your team wants to play, those are the kind of guys that you got to bring in, because when they play that big role, and even, if they're getting points and even if they're playing on the power play, they still bring that hard hat each and every day. And it's like non-negotiable. Those are the kind of guys that make change within an organization.
Another guy I played with was Smitty, and I saw that nice assist he had last night. He's quite the character. Is he still rocking those terrible suits though?
No, his suit game is actually pretty good.
Is it good?
Yeah, his suit game is actually pretty tight. I don't know. I haven't seen a bad suit. So
it was like who shot the couch every time he came in with a new blazer on.
Horse blankets, Biz.
Horse blankets.
No, his suit game, he comes correct. He's actually got good style, so I can't chirp him on anything like that. And I probably wouldn't want to chirp him because he might want to go me if I did chirp his suit.
People don't realize how good you have it as a defenseman when you have a goalie who can play the puck like Smitty. I know he probably gives the fans some jammers once in a while with how long he's holding on to it, but he's probably the best in the league at handling the puck. No?
Oh, unbelievable! I think as a D-man, it's such a luxury back there to be able to just go open up. And I mean, there's times, there's probably every game, there's one or two that he just bypasses the D and hits the winger and like beats three of the opposing forecheckers. Like it's incredible. And to have the confidence to do that, you've obviously coughed up a couple before because you don't care. So that's me. It's such a for like as a D-man, it's such a luxury to have, and he's obviously stops the puck too on top of that.
Yeah.
Just talking about suits, where do you stand on teams relaxing or even eliminating these dress codes like we've seen Arizona do?
I don't mind it, but I think it puts a little more pressure on the players. Like you
better have a good outfit.
Exactly. Like you want to say no suits, that's fine, but like you got to come with the correct outfit. Like we can't be the league that comes in jeans and a Lululemon t-shirt. Like it's got to be, if we're gonna have relaxed dress codes, we gotta start bringing the heat here.
Louis Vuitton tracksuit.
Heard of Austin Matthews?
Biz Scuds would have been fucked. He's like, which jeans do I wear tonight? He's like, I only got one
pair. The old Levi special. Got like grass stains on the knees. Uses them to cut the lawn in the summertime with the Pete Carroll New Balance specials.
The dad shoes.
Who's got the worst style on the team? Let's just start picking guys apart. Fuck it.
Let's go. I'm not gonna pick anyone apart. But sorry, Rusty. Chris Russell's got the worst style.
Hey, but he'll block a shot. But he'll block a shot.
He's earned it. Like he's definitely earned it. But yeah, he's another
his equipment.
No, he's another guy that he has one or two pairs of jeans and a pair of cowboy boots.
He's a cowboy?
Yeah. Which like is good style. Like, so he would have really good style in Alberta probably. Because, it's not like you have nice cowboy boots and Levi's, but like to us, Ontario guys. That's not the style, you know.
I could see Cassian wheeling in with some cowboy boots too. I know he's a big Harley guy.
Yeah, he's not. I haven't seen him in cowboy boots, but he might be second to rest.
Who holds
okay after last night? Is he all right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's
good.
okay. That's one of the toughest human beings I've ever met. So
yeah.
Who holds court in the locker room? Like who are the clowns? Like who keeps things loose for that group?
Well, Cass is up there. And Cass is one of those guys that he'll have you rolling on the floor, just laughing. And Yamamoto's got great. He's usually got some great lines, and we have a few characters in the room, but I'd say Cass is probably the biggest energy guy and can probably hold court with the most guys.
Love it.
Darnell, I got to ask, when did you start going with the skin salad? Did that happen naturally, or did you just decide to look better?
It was coming. And I I wanted to beat it. I wanted to beat it to the punch.
There you go.
It was starting to get a little thin. Like I've been going with my helmet off in warm-ups for a while, and you never want to be that guy with your helmet off in warm-ups that's just trying to hold on. So
the monkey bomb. That's why Getsy finally.
You don't.
Getsy finally shaved it.
You don't want to be that guy, so I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna go early and just commit.
There you go.
I got a good shaped melon too, so I can make it work.
Yeah, it does.
You and Cass get the 2-for-1 special. Get the free bowl of soup too, because he's shaving his noggin now too.
Well, worst case scenario, if someone needs a shaver and they left theirs at home, you just ask the other guy. So
absolutely. I don't know how much else I got, boys. This has been awesome, man. We appreciate all your time too. I know you guys.
Yeah, I want to quickly ask before we let you go. Like the best part of Edmonton when I was there was the staff. Like TD4's medical guy, Dr. Nadeau, Happy, Langer. They're all still there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all there.
I'm rooting for those guys because you know it's you have a long, tough go of it when you're on a team that struggled, and I think the staff, right? They feel it just as hard as anyone else. I love all the guys there. So you got to tell them hello because I'm sure it's still the same way. They're giving it their all for you guys to get healthy and get out there.
Yeah, we have an unbelievable staff. Like that's one thing we're very, very spoiled with. Like those guys that, like you said, they give it everything and they're all every single day. And I think, you know, you can never take that for granted because we're very fortunate here in Edmonton to have the staff that we do. And, yeah, I'll definitely say hi to them for you.
Whit, you sparked me to ask about the Joey Moss tribute statue on the way out. Was that something that the team surprised you guys with? Like such a cool thing as you guys are going out to the ice, you're able to still give them the kind of like the fist bump.
Yeah, I think a couple guys had like a little idea that they were going to do something for the memory of Joey, and I just think that was like the perfect, just awesome. The perfect thing to do. Like just have it at his height and, you know, the hand coming, like it's literally something that you walk by. Like you don't even have to be going out to the game. Like you walk by, you just want to high five it like every single time you walk by. And obviously Joey's going to be missed immensely, not only by, you know, the hockey team and the football team, but just the city. He meant so much to the city. And I was very fortunate to spend some years with him and get to know him.
I was too, and like, hey, how crazy was the first time you get in the room and you hear guys like, "Shut the fuck up, Joey, fuck me," and right away you're like, "Oh my god!" But then he's like, "You shut the fuck up." That guy was so fun to be around. I remember every time somebody came in the locker room the first time, they'd be like,
"Oh my god, yeah,
my god!" And then
I was surprised by it.
So
yeah, good. he was unbelievable. Yeah, he would give it. He would give it to you, like no matter what.
So hard.
He always used to. He always said, or he always say, I'm gonna go see Kevin Lowe. And like for me, I always thought like it meant like he wanted me to go see Kevin Lowe. So like when I was like young in the league, I thought like I'm getting sent down because he was just like even the word Kevin Lowe. I'm like, well, I think he works for the team, and he's not. I think he works for the team. Maybe I'm getting sent down. Like, you know what I mean? I just put that down, but like. Oh yeah, Joey was the best, and he's definitely gonna be missed by everybody.
Darnell, that was a great way to end this thing. Good luck this year. Say hi to my boy Tyson Barrie. I think you guys are gonna go on a run here. I think it's Edmonton's year. That fan base deserves it, man. And best of luck. And hopefully you make the Olympic team. We'll be rooting you on, pal.
Oh, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Spank the Americans.
Good luck this year, Darnell.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a
pal.
great
Take
season,
care.
buddy. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
Tell McDusty sorry about the socks. I'll get him a 6-pack for Christmas.
No, we'll give him some money out of the sales biz.
Yeah, okay.
Love it. All right, see you guys.
Huge thanks to Darnell for joining us for a nice chat, man. What a great young defenseman. Love watching him play. And he was a great surprise too, Biz. I enjoyed his conversation. So, listen, NHL season is here. And if you love watching live sports, but you're tired of the high prices, it's time to take control of your TV experience. It's time you got Sling. Sling is the place where your favorite sports channels like ESPN, FS1, TNT, and more are all together for less. Watch sports all season long with the Sling Blue plus Sports Extra package, which gives you access to NHL Network and more, like Red Zone and Golf Channel for only $21 for your first month. Plus, you can watch old episodes of Spittin Chiclets, Sandbagger Invitationals, and exclusive new Barstool content for free on the Barstool Sports channel on Sling. Sling is super easy to set up. It's wicked easy to use, and there's no contracts. It starts at just $35 a month. Sign up now and get your first month for just $10. Whatever you're into, Sling is where you can find the live sports you love all in one place. So go to sling.com/Barstool to sign up now and get your first month starting at just $10. Good stuff. Yeah, Biz, I was going back to Darnell, man. Like, this kid kind of, I would say come out of nowhere, but last year he really put himself on the map as a premier NHL defenseman.
Just bent the North over 20 tucks, gambled on himself twice with those bridge deals, and just secured the bag.
Yeah.
How about have you got a chance to check out that McDavid commercial with Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod?
No, I have to look at that. Fuck, I meant to do that after we interviewed him.
Do you know who that is?
Nope.
These are they're like these two legends, like in Canadian television. They used to like teach people health clips, and they used to have like these funny things on TV that they would do. So they're just like, if you're Canadian, you know who Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod are. And going back to McDavid, he's been doing like
Were they connected romantically?
Oh, I think they're married. That's a great question.
Are they?
I'm pretty sure they're married. Yeah, they get the tracksuitos on all the time.
What a
So
squad.
the tracksuitos they had in the commercial with McDavid were the ones that they usually rocked back in the day. Yeah, they had like the 80s call on me, call on me, call on me, like that kind of vibe going.
There's a video of some of the hottest women in the world, that Eric Perdiz's song. I can never say his last name. Eric Perdiz.
That's going to be me on TNT pronouncing half the league's last name. Eric Prides. Isn't it Eric Prides?
Just text me, Biz. I'll tell you how to say
Check
it.
out YouTube. Hey, kids out there. Check out YouTube. Eric.
Yeah, don't be cranking your hoses off to the Eric Prides.
Call on me video, and then and don't be late to school.
Put it in the McDavid tube sock. But his acting throughout the course of his, like, you know, he's probably getting fucking, you know, $500,000, $1 million a pop of the big companies coming at him to do these things, but he's getting better and better. That's huge. That's huge for the game. He's like the Tom Brady now. You're gonna watch an Edmonton Oilers game, and then you're gonna see 6 McDavid commercials, and then right back to him dancing guys on the ice, much like Brady throwing 5 fucking TDs and 400 yards at 44 years old.
Fucking unbelievable.
It's crazy.
It is.
Still second best to Rogers, though. We can move on and do the Pacific.
All right. Pacific Division. Anaheim Ducks. There's been a youth
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, there's been a youth movement afoot. They didn't really spend any money this year. They got $15 million in cap space. Didn't make the playoffs last year. Didn't add anybody via free agency, really. Said bye to Ryan Millar. Cup odds 125-1. I think they're going to throw the kids out there. Zegras, Lundestrom, Comtois, Jones, Steele, Terry. See what these guys, they're all under 24. See what they got up their sleeve. Basically a rebuilding year for the Anaheim Ducks. Wouldn't you say that, Whit?
Yeah, they got Zegras and Jamie Drysdale. It's like these 2 super prospects. I actually have been reading that their prospect pool's strong, right? So this is just rebuilding time. I think Bob Murray's even mentioned that. And the worst possible thing that could happen to this team is if they actually like play pretty well and then end up missing the playoffs by like 5 points at the end of the year. You know, it sucks for fans of teams like this at times where you're hoping for the younger guys to play a lot and play well, but in the end for the team to lose and get a high draft pick, because that's going to be the future of Anaheim rebuilding to where they were. I mean, they won 5 straight division titles from, what was it, 2007, 2006 to, I don't know, 2017. They were a legit contender every year, it felt like. Maybe besides the year I was there, legit. And other than that, it's a team that just needs to look towards the future and move on to the next preview we have to do for this division.
Yep, youth movement. I'd say the best move they made was bringing Getzlaf back just to kind of nurture these guys and show them the way and how to act and conduct yourself, and the discipline as far as what you're doing off the ice as well. So it's not going to look pretty this year. I think that they're going to be a lottery team, and that's probably a good thing if you're that fan base.
I hear the name Drysdale. I think I wonder if he's really. It's a Don Drysdale. I know what you're younger than me, but does that name ring a bell with you? Don Drysdale, former LA Dodger great.
Yes.
Starting the Brady Bunch for an
All
episode.
I knew is that he was a legend on the LA Dodgers. I didn't know anything else about him, or that he was on the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, he was on the Brady Bunch.
Marsha.
Okay, Jan.
The fact that show was pop, like if you watch that show now, like.
All right, that might be the happiest I've ever seen you on this podcast when he said that, and then
that was my
okay, Jan.
Dude, that was the show in my household. When me, my brother, my sister loved that show. It was like you kind of laughed at him because it was such a dorky family, but the Brady Bunch was fucking king in the. Was
70s, Marsha the Rocket?
Yeah, she got her nose busted by a football.
Oh my nose!
I think that was in the movie, wasn't it?
No, well, the movie riffed off the show. Yeah, but she got her nose broken on the show. Oh, my nose!
Did you ever crank it off to Marsha?
100%. You think he didn't? He just said it was his favorite show.
I had a Marsha Brady T-shirt. I told you it got stolen up college.
Oh, did you crank it off to Marsha?
You did it in the T-shirt?
No, I didn't do it in the T-shirt. You're not. But I had a Marsha Brady
that was
T-shirt.
Jizz rag.
From when she, no, I legit bought it. It was from,
shut.
It said, "Oh, my nose." And Biz, girls in college, they're notorious for stealing your fucking hoodies. Well, some chick stole my Marsha Brady T-shirt. I would pay $1,000 to find out who stole my Marsha Brady T-shirt in college.
That was in one of your Grind the Gears segment, but 100%. We never got to it about a month ago.
Yeah. Good point. I got another Grind My Gears later, too, for the end of the show.
What is it, fake vax passports?
I don't give a fuck. I'm vaxxed.
All right, let's go. Let's keep going here. Pacific. Let's just do all the California teams. An absolute dumpster fire. I feel like the southern focus of hockey has shifted from California to Florida.
All right, Piz, let's do it. Anaheim, right up the street. LA Kings. The team is aiming to get back in the playoffs. Didn't get in last year, but they brought in Phil Deneau, Victor Arvidsson, Alex Edler. Who else? That's about it. They didn't really wave bye to anyone. 60-1 cup odds. They lost Byfield. That's a huge gut punch. But this is a team, the Kings, they've been stockpiling. What's his name? Rob Blake's been the GM. He's been stockpiling picks, making some nice draft picks. I think this is a team that sees itself as a playoff contender this year, Paul.
They do. And Doughty said if they're not back in the mix, he's going to be very disappointed. He's going to be hungry. They still got some legit guys in that lineup. This Byfield loss is going to be huge, though. I feel like he was going to have such a fucking big year. I'm so gutted for this guy. What is he going to miss? Probably 6 to 8 weeks minimum. Breaks his ankle against the Coyotes in preseason. Looked ugly going into the wall. The guys, I just don't have him making playoffs. I like the pickup of Arvidsson. I think he's an absolute honey badger. I understand why maybe Nashville moved on from him because they think they have a couple prospects that could step up and contribute and give him that ice time that he was going to get. But I just no, they rely too much on Kopitar. I like the 1-2 punch of them picking up Deneau, but he's yet to prove to me that he can produce offense. Maybe he can in that second line center role where, Kopitar does take a little bit more of that defensive responsibility off of him. But, Dustin Brown has had a couple of good years here, even like past of what people thought his prime was going to be. I don't know. Can he still produce 20 to 25 goals a year? I like their prospect pool. I think they have some good young players. I do not see them as a playoff team. I see them as a bottom 8 team, especially in the fact that the Western Conference is so strong this year.
I think that they're I don't think they're going to get in the playoffs. I think they're going to be a lot more competitive than Anaheim is. Like Doughty had quotes of like, all right, I'm sick of losing. We got to bring players in. So, they go get to know, big contract there. Arvidsson's a nice player. So they definitely went out and improved their team. They're a better team than last year. So I do think that they might compete for the playoffs. I don't have them getting in. The one thing to watch this year is like, I think there's a chance by the end of the season, like Cal Peterson could be their number one goalie, right? So like that's somebody with a ton of promise. He's and as Quick gets older, you wonder like how the whole goaltending position is going to play out there. So I don't have them getting in the playoffs, but I think they're going to compete and definitely give it a go. They won't be a pushover. I don't think they're a lottery team by any means.
I think the torch has been passed. I'd say you see about 50 starts from Peterson and 32 from Quick. And what an unbelievable guy to mentor you.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Same thing with Kopitar. And not that he's even done playing at a high level, but for these young guys coming up to have him, it's
and
so
Whit,
clutch.
I mean, Doughty, I think he's always, in the top 15, 20 defensemen in the entire league, even still at his age. I just like we talked about the Central, and every team seemed to have a very, very good top four. I think that their back end compared to most teams in the West is not that strong.
And I will say this, though, about the back end and Doughty. I wish there was a prop bet you could make for the first 25 games of the year, like overall play by defensemen in the league, because it's an Olympic year. He's heard rumblings that certain people don't have him on Team Canada.
What?
Yeah, I mean, dude, like if you look around, there's not everyone who would take him.
You're
on
a
team.
fucking clown if you don't have him.
I'm not saying that they're not clowns. I'm saying that he has seen that type press, and for him to come out and be focused and playing top end amazing hockey, would not be surprised one bit.
He didn't even show up on time for the fucking gold medal game. This guy thrives under pressure. He thrives for the big moments.
12 years, dude.
If you don't have probably the best natural defenseman, I don't even know if the guy trains. He steps on the ice and he fucking gets it done, especially under pressure. You're an absolute buffoon if you don't have him on the Olympic roster.
Boom.
Buffoon.
Okay, just to backtrack a little, nobody here has Anaheim going to the playoffs, correct? Just double checking, just doing my notes here. LA, anybody have LA going to the playoffs?
Neither.
Okay, 0 for 4. All right, Biz, I know you want to keep the California trend, so we'll go up north.
Thankfully, you seem to think that. Go ahead.
Thankfully, Brett Merriman isn't driving us because we won't almost die on the way there in the dock.
That's right. The Pacific Coast Highway. Yeah, I think that they're missing playoffs and just too much money invested in too few players. Obviously, some rumblings on the inner circles that too many distractions off the ice. I think everybody who listens to the podcast knows exactly what I'm alluding to. We don't like to dip into the personal life bullshit, but it's a bit of a clown show. Hurdle wants out. I don't know if he's going to get his wish or if his feelings are going to change.
Is that true? Hurdle said he wants out?
Unless this was a complete rumor mill online.
I saw something saying
Brunelli, hop in here.
Signing there.
Well, he's UFA. He hasn't
said it
re-signed
was
yet.
true.
He's a UFA. He hasn't signed yet. Listen, it could be complete internet rumors that I'm hook, line, and sinker to. It's not. It's just no. They're not making playoffs. They reigned supreme for so many years in that division. One of the toughest buildings to play against in the league, or playing in the league. Excuse me. They are not going to make playoffs. They don't have the guys. And what do you got?
I got $26.5 million yearly to Erik Karlsson, Vlasic, and Brent Burns. And, those are guys getting a little bit older. And I think that Karlsson's offense has dropped off pretty quickly. I don't know if all those guys get back to a level that they were at a few years ago. Yeah, they could get in playoffs, but Vlasic's game's not the same as it was. And even Burns offensively last season, it was a major dip off. So, the Kane stuff, it's like, he's there's a report comes out that some of the players don't want him back and don't want him on the team. And then he said, oh no, I'm just easy to blame. I'm just the guy that's easy for them to blame. It's like, it doesn't seem like the most cohesive group, along with question marks throughout the lineup. And listen, like they could have a really good season if some guys really bounce back and Thomas Hertl dominates the way he can, but I do not have them in playoffs.
And just to backtrack a little, this is a team that was in the 2019 conference semifinals, missed the playoffs the last 2 years. Expectations on high this year. They weren't in the playoffs last year. They did bring in Nicky Bones, Andrew Cogliano, James Rima, Aiden Hill, Martin Jones left. 75-1 the cup odds. And just to get into the Evander Kane stuff, I know Biz said it's personal. Well, this has been reported that per the reports, the league is looking into the possibility that he was using a fake vaccine card. I'm starting to wonder about this guy.
Listen, guys, like I said, we're not going to dive into it. We don't know if it's true or not, but
we don't.
I've never seen a player grab the headlines in an off season like this guy.
But he's
in
currently
worse ways.
He's currently not with the team for camp. So, I mean, that says a lot right there. And if it turns out he did use a fake COVID vaccine thing, the league would very likely suspend him. So he's not even around the team anymore. This is a guy who led the team in scoring last year, was a key part of their offensive structure. But like what you said, there are guys who don't even want him in the room. So this team is somewhat of a clusterfuck. I think bringing in guys like Nicky Bones and Cogliano will have some veteran accountability there. I don't know if it's too little, too late for this squad, but none of us have this team going to playoffs, right?
No
playoffs. All right.
Sorry, California.
Yeah, we did the California trifecta for you, Biz. All right, now let's slip back. Hold on. All right,
worse
Calgary.
than the San Andreas.
Hey, you guys do you ever eat stuffed pepper dews? Do you like these? What?
Is this an ad read?
No, it's not at all. No, these things, they're little they're not hot peppers. They're like sweet peppers with like cheese in them.
No, but I'd love to watch
them.
But I'd love to watch you eat one.
No, Bob. Bob's in Medford. You know Bob's in Medford, right? What? It's free ad.
The best. I used to live right next to it. RA.
I've never been there. I've heard of it.
It's one of the best food places in the Metro Boston area. Great subs, but it's an Italian import place too, so you can get Italian food. And they got these stuffed pepper dews. They're not hot peppers. They got some sort of what kind of cheese is that? Mascarpone, G, that they put in there.
Not fully sure. Can't see it.
Phenomenal! Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
What's gonna puke in his sock right now?
No, before we started recording, Granelli's like, yeah, my stomach isn't feeling great. Which obviously you think one thing, but RA took it to, yeah, dude, best creation of all time is the wet wipe. So he took it to the shits and them being gross. And I was just like, it was a tough start.
Wow. We weren't going to bring it up with, but you did.
Yeah, I'm still disgusted by it.
All right, let's move right along. Calgary Flames. This is another team that's sort of in, I don't know if it's no man's land or what.
It is no man's land, all right.
Okay, they look like they were a contender a couple of years ago. They didn't make the playoffs last year. Obviously, they lost Mark Giordano in the expansion draft. They brought in Nikita Zadorov, Blake Coleman, Eric Goodbranson, Tyler Pitlick, Dan Vladar to back up the goaltender. 40-1 cup odds. This is a team, it wouldn't surprise me if they made the playoffs or if they were a lottery team with.
I couldn't agree more. One of the most confusing teams.
Yeah.
So many storylines going in. It's really about Gaudreau, who's a UFA after this season, and is definitely coming off an off year, and I think that or an off couple of years, right? And in a sense, it's like a crossroad for this team. It's like, are they closer to, like RA said, a lottery pick and completely trying to rebuild everything, or are they closer to competing for a Stanley Cup? But when you look at their roster and the fact that Giordano isn't there, and the thought of thinking of them as trying to compete for a Stanley Cup, to me seems crazy. So I don't think you're going to see I think you're going to see unreal Johnny hockey. It's a contract year. He's out to prove a lot of people wrong. Married this summer. Not that any of that really matters, but in a sense, this is a guy who knows that he's got to show up. And other than that, it's I just think missing Giordano and losing him, and maybe analytics people and maybe the Tree Living and the rest of the staff there considers him maybe on the downside of his career a little bit. He is older, but to lose your captain and your leader and to come off a season like you did, and bringing in Coleman's a nice addition, no doubt, but they need to be able to score goals, and I don't really see it happening. And I as you say, it wouldn't be surprising if they make the playoffs. I agree, but I'm not picking them to get in.
Yeah, I think the Giordano loss just put so much pressure on Monahan, that top line of Gaudreau, and fuck, man, yeah. I don't have him making playoffs. I don't really have a breakdown for him. It's the biggest wild card team in that Pacific Division right now, and I don't have them making playoffs.
So you predicted them for the wild card, or?
What do you mean?
I'm just trying to break your brain bit. You call them a wild card.
I don't have much on them. I don't want to be too critical, but I'm like, this team got worse by losing their true leader. It's kind of proven over time and time again. Monahan and Gaudreau in that top line they've kind of let them down. No.
Yeah, I mean the results speak for themselves at this stage of the game, Paul. So
am I being too critical? I hate being too critical on guys.
I think you're gonna have to be critical if you're on TV.
On TNT.
You can't be tummy stick guy on TV, dude. Nobody likes that.
He's gonna be like stroking.
I won't be tummy stick. Missing playoffs.
Is this great enough for you? Edmonton Oilers. Will the Duncan Keith effect be enough to contend? Last season ended. They lost in the first round. They got swept by the Winnipeg Jets. Humiliating fashion. I can't say humiliating. I told you I lost a tooth. I'm struggling with certain words.
Oh, yeah. How did you lose a tooth?
I had a filling that fell out. It was like an old filling, and fucking the tooth had cracked. So, like, I was chewing into something, and the rest of it fucking went. So I could talk normal.
Hold on, though. So you had a filling, and the filling fell out, and you knew it. How long had that been going on?
Well, I traced this back to Detroit. Remember, I had the toothache in Detroit.
Yeah.
I don't know. That went away. I put Oragel on it and went away mysteriously. So I think it was connected to that somehow. But bottom line is, before last week, like the night before, like half my tooth fell out. So certain words, I sound like Cindy Brady when I fucking talk. So I wanted to put that out there. We're keeping with the Brady Bunch theme once again.
That's hilarious. Like if I had a toothache in Detroit, the Oragel no doubt might have helped, but I'd see the dentist when I got home. You were just like, I'm good.
Well, no, I had an emergency appointment, but what was crazy is like it went away in like 2 days. I woke up the next day.
I know, but you still know something's wrong.
I'm going. I have an appointment. I thanks Dad, Bill, but no, I am going to take care of it because it is an oral problem. Oral. Last season, like I said, Edmonton lost in the first round. They're bringing in Duncan Keith, Zach Hyman, Cody Ceci, Warren Fogle, Derek Ryan. They traded Ethan Bear and Caleb Jones, 24-1 to win the Cup. I think the big question for me, I know I just brought up Duncan Keith, but is the Mike Smith, Mikko Koskinen combo enough to bring this team to the promised land? Biz, you first.
Actually, I think you should throw it over to the former Edmonton Oiler for his assessment of this team. We know they got the two-headed monster up front, but what do you make of the additions?
The time is now. The time is now for this team to take the next step. I've long said, even though the people couldn't stand me, I am an Oilers fan to the core. Once an Oiler, always an Oiler is written in the locker room, Biz. I'm welcome back there anytime. And I can't wait to show my face when they make a run in the playoffs because I'm telling you, the time is now. I couldn't agree more with you, RA, in the sense that the one big question mark is Mike Smith in net. I will say this, though. Under Tippett, he's a different player than without him. And he is getting older, but the guy's an absolute machine. He's shredded. It's yes. As you get older, the game is tougher, no doubt. But the way this guy keeps himself in shape, it makes me worry less of the age he's at. Do you know what I'm trying to say there?
He's like a third defenseman out there.
Yeah, the way he plays the puck and under Tippett, how comfortable he seems to be. I know it's definitely a question mark on this team, but I do think that they can at least make the next step, win a playoff round, make a little bit of a run. And McDavid writes out, it's like these two guys are going to do their damn thing. They're going to both get 100 points. They're both going to dominate anytime they're on the ice. Hyman is a huge addition. And it's not just the ability to play with those guys and to play at a high level, like speed-wise, and it's his honey badger mentality, Biz's favorite term. It's this guy's in the dirty areas. That's what Edmonton needs. If Cassian can get back to playing the way that he did a few years prior. I know he got injured the other night, but word sounds that he's okay. Word is that he's okay. And I just look at this team and I want them to do well so much as their fan base does. And I truly think with how driven McDavid is and how good he is and the additions they've made. And I think Duncan Keith's going to make an impact. I know some people talk about his game in decline and the numbers. And I think he's going to make a difference. Maybe Evan Bouchard makes a huge jump after you heard what Nurse said. It's the second best team in this division, and it's time to take the next step. If they don't get out of the first round this year, who the fuck knows what happens? All bets are off.
Blow it up.
You really can't blame
Trade them
McDavid.
all.
If McDavid throws up another 125-point season and is the best player on earth by a mile, as he continues to be, and they don't get out of the first round, who knows what's going to happen there? But the time is now.
Playoffs, yes, Whit?
Yes.
Biz?
Yes, they're a playoff team, and here's a hot take: 140 points for McDavid. 140. Okay. Look at how offensive their back end is. They got Tyson Barrie. We know Duncan Keith can snap it around. Darnell Nurse coming off a 20-goal a year. Their power play is disgusting. Draisaitl, the whole fucking kit and caboodle. They're 100% going to make playoffs, and 100% they are getting out of the first round. You can rely on Mike Smith. He's a third defenseman, and he's going to bring the noise even at Tyson Fury's age.
Ian Love handles. Grinelli, playoffs, Edmonton.
No
love
love
this
handles.
team. Love this team, and I think they make a run this year, a deep run.
Okay, we all four of us, and let's actually skip back to Calgary. I was asleep at the switch. Who has them in the playoffs? Anybody?
I did not.
I do not.
G?
I do not, and I think they have a fire sale to deadline.
Okay. Uh-oh. Breaking news.
Squid Game fire sale.
4-0s in Calgary, 4 yeses in Edmonton. We already did LA. We're
getting long here. We got to bring the energy back up.
3 more teams left. 3 more teams. Uh-oh. What's cracking, Biz?
The
Seattle.
crackheads.
The last season, they didn't have one. It's their first season. They say, hi, everybody.
You're a fucking idiot, man.
That's a Simpsons joke. That
I know. Hello, everybody. It's great to be here.
Because, it's a new team. Say bye to me listing potential nicknames for this team. 45-1 cup odds for this squad. They got a nice pair of goaltenders in net. Chris Drieger, Philip Grubauer. On D, Giordano, we mentioned. Alexiak, Dunn, Larson. Pretty solid top 4 forwards. Schwartz, Gord, Tanev, Geeky, Donato, Sheehan, McCann, Eberle, Wenberg, Jan Krook, Johansson, Donskoy, new head coach, obviously, Dave Hackstall. This is a team that I think is going to contend for a spot. I think they have 2 unreal goalies. I think they have a genuinely good team. I see this team getting in the playoffs.
I'll tell you what, RA, I respect your opinion.
No, you don't.
But it's not like teams are traveling into Vegas, going out, doing key tokes, butt chugging Pink Whitney, getting all fucking crazy.
Their mainline Starbucks instead.
And then going into the Lions Den. I think that they're going to have a great inaugural season.
They're doing open mic night, RA, and like smoking some weed in the rain.
I think that they're going to compete for a playoff spot. I think that they are going to actually move some assets at the deadline, acquire some more pieces. This will be a team that's set up very nice moving forward. But once again, given the strength of the West, I just see them being a cusp team, but not making it in. And I only get 3 teams in this division, given the fact that I had 5 in the Central. So no, I disagree with you. A great bunch of just crafty hockey players. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great atmosphere in that building. I hope I get to go catch a game. They are not making playoffs. Sorry, crackheads. My bad.
So Vegas and Edmonton are my locks for the playoff here. And I am battling in my mind between Vancouver and Seattle for that 3rd spot. The reason I'm going with Van is because Seattle does not have a Pettersson, Quinn Hughes. They don't have that top-end superstar talent. So I'm going Vancouver. So I do have Seattle missing, but I can't wait for this season. Also, I'll say this. I was one of the guys that Vegas played the voiceovers of at the beginning of the game before it got into the real pregame intro about, I think my quote was, they're going to be the doormats of the NHL. So I was the fool. I was the idiot who said they would be the worst team in the league, and they went on to the cup final. The score, make the clown nose shirts with my nose on there, or my ears. But listen, I do think that it could be one of those examples of me thinking this team's going to be really good and compete because of what we saw in Vegas, and then they really do struggle. So the crowd will be amazing. The atmosphere will be top-notch. I think the team's going to be competitive. I'm going to go with Vancouver getting in the playoffs, unfortunately. I don't think they get in. But if they do, I would not be too surprised. It just comes down to like, will they be able to score goals? I think they're going to be able to play good team defense. I like their goaltending. Goal scoring wise, it could be a little bit of a struggle, which it could be for like almost every team in this division. So in the end, they could get in, but I got Van with Vegas and Edmonton as my playoff.
Let's move over to Van then, right now.
I love Van.
I got him in too. I love the 1-2 punch. Everybody posting the video of Oliver Ekman-Larsson in the fucking bag skating.
Yeah, can we honestly just describe this, because Biz is going to try to hop over it, and I want your true opinion on it. There was a video of the team doing a bag skate probably 4 or 5 days into training camp, where at the end, you're doing the mountains. You're going goal line back, goal line to blue line back, goal line red line back, goal line far blue line back, goal line back. You do it over and over. Ekman-Larsson was like with the goalies. You're what?
You're a fucking idiot.
He basically, dude, you skate in 5-man units. 2 defensemen go with a forward line. 8 defensemen go with the 4 lines. He was a zone behind. And I'm not going to lie. I was shocked. That's a guy who's like skating, he's a long guy, rangy. He's been able to skate his whole life. And granted, it was a day he could have been feeling like shit, but in the NHL, you do not see guys lagging that far behind.
He's saving his legs just like the fucking Hurricanes.
All right. If you're gonna go with the joking explanation, fine. But if you're not a little worried by seeing that,
you know what? You're right. I was a little bit concerned. And then the first preseason game, 2 primary assists. He looked fucking awesome. Okay, so enough with this fucking bag skating and training camp going viral video bullshit. He's going to have a bounce back year. He's going to be the $8.5 million defenseman that we all fucking seen in Arizona when he went 6 straight years with double digits in goals. Okay, 2 of which years he was around the 20 mark. And it's an awesome 1-2 punch as far as offensive ability on that back end. Do I like Tyler Myers at what he's making? No, but I think he's a good top 4 defenseman. They got Thatcher Demko in net, and I love their forward group. They locked in their guys. They got great leadership in Horvat. They got a couple honey badgers up front too. I'm drawing a blank on the one guy's name who I'm always.
How good did Millar look? We dogged him giving up a first rounder for him, and he was no joke.
Who? TJ?
JT.
60-1 their cup odds, by the way. I think there's some value there as well. I mean, they brought in Connor McDavid, man. That kid's a fucking stud. Love watching him play.
We didn't even bring him up.
Well, okay, so
that's because
I don't think he's had the best preseason. I think he's a little bit in Green's doghouse. Maybe not bringing that, my favorite word, the honey badger mentality. The one thing that made him very successful in Phoenix was the fact that he worked relentlessly. He was the first guy in the forecheck, as well as the guy doing the figure 8s in the corner, making D look stupid. If he gets back to that work ethic and contributes offensively like he was doing in Arizona, yes, this is a playoff team in my opinion. I think they're all going to start clicking, and it's going to be real pretty. And that's all I got. Jim Benning's out of the doghouse, the capologist.
The top 6 is sexy. Biz. It's just a matter of will the D hold up. I think Demko's solid, but it's a big question with the D. So playoffs, Vancouver.
Yes,
Whit.
I'll die on that hill all day.
That's a yes for Biz. G.
Absolutely. I love this team.
RA's got him out. RA's got a hatred for Vancouver.
No,
fans,
and honestly, you could say that.
I hate him too.
Typically, Whit, but like this isn't. I don't hate Vancouver. That's not why I'm not picking them. I think I'm just thinking Seattle's going to surprise a few people this year.
All
right. One more team. Vegas Golden Knights. Their time is still now. They obviously had that great run out of the gate when they first joined the league, and they haven't been as successful the last couple of years. Last year ended, they lost in the semifinals, 4-2 to Montreal. I believe we had our flights booked to fucking Vegas last year, and they didn't come through for us. They're bringing in Nolan Patrick, Laurent Brossard to back up Robin Lehner, Evgeny Dadonov, Brett Howden. Obviously, they traded Marc-Andre Fleury, Cody Glass, Thomas Nosek became a free agent, went to Boston. The cup odds for Vegas, 7-1. The creases lane is right now. There's no more goalie controversy, no more swords in the back of goalies that he shares the crease with. I think a question here, can Nolan Patrick change his scenery, maybe help his career a little bit? Also, another note, Alex Tucker's hurt to start the year. But Vegas, like I said, this time is now. I mean, they're a contender right now.
The time is now. For them to win the Stanley Cup, though, they need to get a power play. Their power play was brutal. And it was in the regular season, I think it was 22nd. And then in the playoffs, it was even worse. It was pathetic. I mean, it's literally why they lost to the Canadians. So Dadonov comes in. I think he could help there. Creativity-wise, upper man. That's a big addition for the power play. That's definitely where they see him fitting in and helping their team. But there aren't many weaknesses. And goaltending, it's going to be different, right? There's some pressure on Leonard that wasn't really there before. I think Lorraine Brossois can do a decent job, but it's not at all like the backup ability you have of when Fleury and Leonard are going back and forth. So I think the team gets in. I think they can make a run on the Stanley Cup, but without a better power play and without really good goaltending, it'll all be for naught. But they're definitely an elite team in the league.
I might be completely talking out of my ass right now. Yes, I have them making playoffs. I think that they just need to kind of keep things steady to start the year, especially without Tuck in the lineup. I don't know what their prospect pool looks like. I think they need to make a stab for Jack Eichel. I think that they need to. I don't know. I'm not a capologist. I'm about as smart with the money as Jim Benning.
You're a rocket Scientologist?
I'm a rocket Scientologist, but I don't know the finances, guys. I think that they need to make a stab for Jack Eichel. I don't know how they fit it in, but they need strength at the center ice position. You mentioned Nolan Patrick and what impact he can make. Hey, maybe out of the gate, he's right back to normal and looking like his true self after dealing with all those head injuries. Maybe the Jack Eichel's not the answer. But I think if they want to make a stab at the Stanley Cup, they need to address the middle of the ice, and they need that one extra piece. And I think that he's the guy. So that's all. I'll leave it at that. Everybody knows that lineup. Everybody knows what they're going to bring. Everybody knows the goalie situation. Yes, they're a playoff team, but can they get over the hump? Can they make that extra move?
What, you got them in the playoffs, right?
No doubt.
And G?
I do.
Okay. All right. That wraps up our...
Isn't it nuts to gonna... When it comes down, we're going to see actually how incorrect or correct and how this all plays out. What a bunch of storylines going into this season. Can't wait for Wednesday night. Or is it Tuesday night?
Tuesday. Wednesday's for biz, so you weren't wrong.
Yeah, I was staring at biz as I said that. The Red Sox just got the luckiest break in the history of baseball.
Oh, you got it on? See,
top of the 13th inning, biz, they got a man on first, the Rays do, with 2 outs. A guy rips a ball off the wall. So if it bounces in the outfield and then goes into the to the stands, it's a ground rule double. The runner would not score. This ball hit the wall in the air, came back, hit the right fielder in the chest, and then bounced into the stands. And the guy still wasn't allowed to score. So it's second and third with 2 outs, and they got the guy 1 and 2. They got to take advantage of this because what a lucky break that was.
Was it the wrong call?
I don't understand how they don't allow him to score do you know what I'm saying? All right. Yes, they got out of it. Oh, holy shit.
See, I can't host and watch a big game like that because it's too distracting.
But do you know what I'm saying? If the ball bounces and then goes into the stands, ground rule double. But if it hits the outfielder, I feel like that first guy should have been able to score. What a break.
Sorry.
And that's a great way to wrap it.
Josh Allen. Wait, we ain't done yet. Josh Allen, first TD of the game tonight, 10-1. Your boy had that. That's the third one I've hit in like the last 2 weeks.
Barstool Sportsbook.
Absolutely, baby. Hey, you guys got a cowlick, maybe a patchy beard, finally wanting to grow that mullet? Well, maybe you just need a style that works every day. Whatever you need, go to Sport Clips Haircuts. This isn't your grandmother's hairpiece. Sport Clips stylists are experts in men's hair. Cutting men's hair can be harder than women's hair, and Sport Clips stylists are specifically trained to cut men's hair. They know the tips and tricks for making sure guys get the best cut to suit their facial shape, hair texture, and lifestyle. Remember, you can go to grandma's for the holidays, but not where she cuts her hair. Sport Clips, the pros in men's hair. Fellas, you're looking for a haircut? Check them out by all means. They specialize in guys' hair. So go there for your haircuts. A few more hockey notes. We mentioned last week that Canada named their first 3 Olympians, Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, and Alex Pietrangelo. A few other teams did as well, just because the Olympics asked them to. Sweden listed Victor Hedman, Mika Zibanejad, Gabriel Landeskog. The United States had Patrick Kane, Seth Jones, and Austin Matthews. The Czechs went with David Pastrnak, Andre Palat, and Jacob Voracek, while the Finns went with Alexander Bakoff, Mikko Rantanen, and Sebastian Aho. And the good old Ruskies went with Ovechkin, Kucherov, and the only goaltender pre-selected thus far, the big cat, Andrei Vasilevsky. Some question about the Bergevin. He's going into this year without a contract. Some people call that lame duck status. Darren Dreger said there's a far bigger percentage that Bergevin will not be back next season as GM of the Canadians than there is that he will be back. I guess Bergevin put his extension talks off till the end of the season. He said, quote, "The rest is business as usual. It is what it is. I do my job the best I can and always did. Nothing changes. There's no distraction here." So he's going to focus on getting the team into the playoffs. Meanwhile, he doesn't have a contract. I have a follow-up note.
There could be part of him that he might not even want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine how exhausting that is.
Oh my God. That job in any city's tough, let alone there. So who knows? Maybe he's looking at it like, fuck, I don't even know if I want to continue to do this. But this year, definitely they're going to try to give it a go. I do not have them getting in, as I said before.
And this is a follow-up last week after we were talking about Robin Leonard stuff. And, well, no, he didn't make accusations. Some of his comments, he said a fellow named Drew Wheeler on Twitter, he has a blue check mark. I don't know who he worked for or whatever. He reported something that turned out not to be true. He rescinded it. But what happened was he rescinded it, but then he privatized his account. So, like, when I went to look at it, I couldn't see his apology because he made his account private. So I continued to run his report. But he said, the report that I published earlier this week to my Twitter account was proven to be posted prematurely and inaccurately. I am embarrassed by it and truly apologetic.
He did that and then made his account private.
And then made his account private. It's like, well, if you left it open, I would have never fucking ran with it because I would have seen it. So, but whatever. Yeah, so he was full of shit, essentially. New Jersey Devils prospect Nikita Papagayev. He was taken on the 4th round of the 2017 draft.
Love this move.
Has retired at age 22 to become a social media influencer. He bounced around the KHL, the East Coast League, and the AHL.
I did it. It worked out.
If I'm not mistaken, he busted out a python in one of those videos. I don't mean in his pants either. I mean an actual snake.
It's so interesting.
Go live your best life, man. Fucking do what you want to do. I said it earlier. If you want to quit hockey and go do whatever, go do it.
Oh, no doubt. It's just what I was gonna say though is, like, when you're growing up, like I want to be in the NHL. Like there's so many people like, oh, like teachers. You always hear the stories. Like you gotta think of something else. You know, you can't really rely on that. Now, kids say they want to grow up to be like influencers. So like for me, what?
A wiggle dicker.
Yeah,
that's what they call the TikTok stars.
Influencer. It's like, I don't know. Like, what do you say? What do you say to that? It's so weird. I was like thinking as a parent, like, what? Like, whereas you don't want to like tell the kid he has no chance of doing it. It's like, what does that do, right? He's going to want to do it even more so if you tell him not to.
Yeah, my agent told me that nothing good could come of Twitter, and look at me here now.
Exactly. But what a weird time where like, oh, I don't need to go to school. I'm going to be an influencer. Like, oh,
Steubenville, Ontario.
You better be hot or funny as shit, or you really got no chance as an influencer. Is that true? You either have to be hot or funny. If you're ugly and you got nothing and no personality, charisma, and you're trying to be an influencer,
or the nicest fake jammers you've ever seen,
charisma, Supremus,
ass implants. Maybe I'll get some ass implants.
I need them,
dude. Like all those do is just gravity just takes its toll after a while. Your ass just sags, right? If you get those, like
I'll just get the injections.
Not you, but like
stay up top. You gotta stay on top of it, all right?
But how? Like on the treadmill, 24 hours a day.
More injections.
Are you saying once you get a butt injection, these women are going to be screwed at some point? They probably just get another one.
Yeah, I don't know. I left my ass in the womb, so I'm probably the wrong guy to ask about this.
Pizza box.
Yeah. David Pastrnak is selling
goes
pasta.
Right from his shoulder blades to his
caps.
That's
right. In Canada, he's fucking rent-free in Toronto's Grill already.
Oh, he's selling up there,
That's where it's being sold?
Ask Grinelli. He knows the whole story. He's probably
off.
Boston Red Sox?
If I was a Devil Rays fan, which is there's got to be 6 of them. It's a crime they play games at the Tropicana. You would have every right to lose your mind and smash your TV right now.
Is the series over?
No, the Red Sox just took a 2-1 lead.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Sorry.
Well, the game's in Boston, right?
Yep. Game 4.
Tropicana. Okay.
No, I was just mentioning, like, if you're a fan of that team and you go to games at that disgusting stadium where it's like balls hit like the ceiling and shit.
Well, the Tropicana's NHL claim to fame. It has the NHL record for the largest playoff crowd ever. The Tropicana Dome, where the Devils play. That's
a fun fact for everybody who's
trivia question.
Speaking of 6 fans, I think we have 6 fans still listening to this pod right now. What are we, 5 hours deep?
Keep telling us about Timmy Perrin's 4th-year roommate. Oh, Biz, I'm just teasing you. Hang on 1 sec.
Oh yeah, I'm good. I can take it. All right. Some of us have to bring hockey knowledge.
Before we wrap up, I saw the worst movie. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life this weekend. It's called Guilty with Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't even know how to describe this movie. I'll say this because this really isn't giving away the plot while also possibly giving away the whole plot. The opening scene is Jake Gyllenhaal, who's a police officer. He's taking 911 calls. That's the only scene in the movie. You see Jake Gyllenhaal the entire movie. You see 2 other human beings, and then you listen to all these calls, and all you do is stare at him. Good-looking bastard. But you stare at him. That's the whole fucking movie. It was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
You went front to back on it?
Yeah, my wife fell asleep. She woke up like near the end. She goes, "You're still watching this thing?" Because she didn't fall asleep till we realized it was only going to be on him the whole time. I said,
How long into it were you like, oh my God, this is all that I'm going to see?
She said like it was 15 minutes. I hadn't really thought about it. I was just totally in La La Land watching it. She's like, it hasn't gotten off. Like the scene hasn't changed. And I was like, holy shit. It was like we're on different couches. I sat up. I said, you're right. This has been on him the whole time. And the movie ended that way. It was some of these
terrible movies, though, they find a way of being so bad that they'll suck you in for the entire time because you're so fascinated at how bad it is the full length of the movie.
Well, I was like, I have to know how this ends now. And like, I was just more like, oh my God, it was just a brutal movie. Brutal.
Were they different calls or did it somehow all
so he was together? Taking different calls here and there, and like he gassed him because there was one main call. Like I can't. There's one main like issue, chaotic moment or situation that he's dealing with. It's just watch it. It's horrific, dude.
He was talking recently about doing sex scenes with Jennifer Aniston, and in like 2002 or whatever.
I heard him on Howard Stern. The
good girl.
He sounds very, very artistic, artist, actor, drama club growing up type. The full. I don't know if it's a guy.
The Mickey Mouse Club.
I don't know if it's you're not looking to have beers and like watch the Leafs with this guy. I'll say that.
The Mickey Mouse Club. The Mickey Mouse Club trajectory. Where they're like in the drama class in high school, like the whole kit and caboodle. Yeah. Did you like?
I went 2 for 3 last night though.
Did you like the one when he was the paparazzi guy?
Oh, that was awesome.
I don't remember disliking it. I don't remember loving it. That was when he was like chasing down like the
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. Yeah, he's. You know what? He's a good actor. He was good in that because he was so creepy. Like that guy can act. This movie was just
Well, hey, what's the one where the kid went missing and he was the detective? That he was a 10 out of 10 in that one.
Was that Prisoners? Was that Prisoners or? Oops.
Oh yeah, with the guy who played the Wolverine was the father.
Prisoners, yes. All right, you're correct.
Yeah. Prisoners, all right.
That's that was fucking a good flick. He's normally excellent. I even like Brokeback Mountain.
Well. I just said, all we got is Brokeback Mountain when they fight. Dude, honestly, that's a fucking awesome movie. I know people like snicker at it. It probably should have won Best Picture. Fantastic movie. But going back to The Good Girl, you were just talking about the movie where he had to hide his boner with Jennifer Aniston. Have you ever seen that, The Good Girl?
No, is it good?
Fucking fantastic movie. It's one of those like kind of vintage independent movies from the late 90s, early 2000s. And like who blogged it the other day? Okay, Marco blogged it. He called it a rom-com. It's hardly a rom-com. It's kind of a doc movie, but basically he's like a young kid and Jennifer Aniston has a crush on him and she's married. It's kind of a doc movie, but It's a really good flick. I would definitely check it out if you can. It's a like quintessential like independent movie from that era when independent movies were still like running game everywhere. Wish I knew how to quit you, Biz.
Actually, Southpaw wasn't bad. I saw that.
Southpaw is all right.
I didn't mind. Zodiac might be his best movie. Zodiac was fucking wild, dude. And apparently, like, do people think they found the Zodiac killer too? I saw that in the news. I don't know if it was legit or not.
Have they found this kid that's on the run? Apparently, Dog the Bounty Hunter is after him too.
Brian Laundrie.
Yeah,
is that kid still on the run?
Still going
on the run.
He's got to be dead, right? Let's hope he's fucking dead. Awful story. Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, Buzz Kellington over here.
Yeah, well, I did bring up the Zodiac killer.
Something to cheer the mood up. I got something to cheer the mood up. Quick reminder, we do have merchandise that is now available in Canada. And you can find that at storeca.barstoolsports.com.
There's 10 people listening right now. And
also,
there was 6 10 minutes ago. There's 3 now.
Yeah, a couple people hop back on.
We got a Bauer launch.
Seattle.
Rick from Red Deer just got off lunch break.
We got a Bauer launch coming this Thursday. We teamed back up with Bauer Hockey. We got hockey bags. We got hats. We got sweatshirts. We got T-shirts.
What's
it's
that
all coming.
pink one there? That pink hat on the right.
We got a Pink Whitney hat. We have tons of merch coming. I'm saving it all for Black Friday. We got a ton of merch coming for Black Friday.
Bring me that hat for the sandbag.
Hey, is that the one that I asked for?
This is busy. This is the one you asked for.
Welcome, Wit Dog. Guys, I know we've ran so long here. There's probably not many of you still around. We love you guys. We had to do the divisional breakdowns. I hope that you guys liked our picks. And if not, just tell RA to fuck off on Twitter tomorrow and we'll be good. We'll be even.
I think that's about it, boys. Actually, Riley Sheehan, he's going to host a mental health podcast. I want to mention that. Speak Your Mind, it's called, per the Seattle Times. He said, I was looking to do something where I could kind of get uncomfortable and get out of my comfort zone a little bit. His co-host is going to be Tyler Smith, a mental health advocate and a survivor of the Humboldt Broncos crash from a few years ago. So
that's awesome.
You guys want to check that out. Again, I just mentioned Pasta is selling pasta. The proceeds are going to Dana-Farber and the Jimmy Fund, 2 great causes here in Boston. Just 88 cents a box. You can get them at Stop and Shop. In the Gambling Corner, I mean, I gave out predictions here and there about who I like for the Cup. I told you if you can get the Islanders over 20-1, great value. I know they're down to about 17-1. 90-1 the Predators. I find that very intriguing if they can get in the playoffs. Also, Nate Dogg, 9-1 for the Art Ross Trophy. I mean, I know McDavid, it's his to fucking lose, but God forbid he tweaks his knee or something.
Love McKinnon for the heart, RA. I love McKinnon for the heart.
160 points for McDavid.
And then even looking at the Rashad Trophy for most goals. I mean, Patrick Laine, 35-1, Mashi, 32-1, Ovi, 13-1. A lot of value out there. So if you can find it, jump on it. And by the way, the Gambling Corner, last year the season started. It was kind of fucked up. It started in January. I'll be Instagramming all my picks. If I don't blog them, I'll be posting videos for whatever. If I don't like it, I ain't gonna blog it. I'm not gonna make videos of bits I don't like. If I'm telling you,
we got Merle's for that when he just looks for action. EBR, he'll take anything.
That's what Merle's.
He's heating up too.
And also, like I don't know what if you know what IATSE is. They're like the big union in Hollywood. They also do like a lot of theatrical aspect, like the underlying stuff. They're voted to go on strike. I just want to tell those guys we support them here at Chiclets. I know at least I should say I do. They're a big fucking huge union that helps Hollywood, helps TV shows, movies run. These are the people who do the blue collar tough jobs, and they've been getting worked to the bone. And they voted to go on strike for the first time in like 100 years. And a few of their members reached out to me, and we just want to let them know that we support them and all their endeavors because. Again, they do a lot of ball busting work. They don't get the glory, and they need to get some better working conditions. So I just want to say we stand behind you.
Same here.
You can research it and double check back later on that as well. But anyways, that's the show, boys, girls. It was fun, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening, guys.
See you, Mom.